you can think a thought, do your scanning, and get the results right away. It's instantaneous because it's a universal connection. And what I'm going to talk about tonight too is spiritual science, because this is, oh, look at the license plate, Ryan. I love it.
Like that?
I love it. I love it. It's flat. Very cool. It's great. Magnets is universal. It's everywhere. It's subtle energy. And the spiritual science of it is that when we start doing this work, we get connected to the source. I mean, how else can we talk about what we're doing when we can twiddle our thumbs or take someone's feet or take someone's arms or use our clapping, and we can get answers to questions of the universe. And it doesn't just have to be about healing. And if that isn't spiritual, I don't really know what the definition of spiritual is. So the work we're doing is very connected to the source of everything. You want to call it God, you want to call it creator, you want to call it whatever the name for the entire source of everything. This work we're doing, the more I get into it, the more profound I find it. It is so universal that everybody can do it. We can connect to anybody in the world, and we can heal each other. And what one of my deep thinker, intellectual people I very fond is a guy named Rudolf Steiner, who lived up until 1925, and he founded the Waldorf schools and biodynamic farming and a bunch of other things. He prophesized about these times, and he said electronics was going to take over the world, and electronics is the Ahrimanic influence we were talking about last time, the spirit demon that's of the material world, where we really want to get into the feminine divine. This is the male principle of pushing out, of war, of always the red magnet. Red magnet is Thoth. It's the sun. It's pushing you out of balance, what most of us are. What the moon is, what Isis is, which the negative magnets are, is the pulling back in, the attraction, the reconnection. So that's where the spiritual science is really bringing home, is that we're finding each one of us that are just, joining this meeting here right now, is starting to understand, or I am anyway, that this is the most powerful tool we could be turned on to in our lifetimes right now. The ability to heal one another with our intention. And once we get into a deeper understanding of this, we'll be able to just use our hands, and we'll be able to use our hands to heal. And some of you that are into it, some of you use dowsing for a long time. Some of you are already doing that. You can use your own intention and use your body to heal. And that's where you see healers the world over, where they're able to heal people. This has been chronicled over a long period of time, going back to Franz Anton Mesmer. You heard the term mesmerized. Well, that's where it comes from in the 18th century, when Mesmer was using magnetic baths, and he has people hold their hands and he'd put them together and they would start healing each other. They'd have these Herxheimer reactions where something negative to get purged was, and then they'd get better. And it became so famous, it became so popular, that Benjamin Franklin and the British Academy of Science and all them called it quackery, said you can't do this anymore. This is not allowed to do this. You're not allowed to heal one another using this magnetic healing. So we're reconnecting. 1910, the Flexner report, Andrew Flexner report, comes out and bans radionics, bans magnet healing therapy. There's over a dozen universities teaching magnetricity, magnet therapy to people, and they banned them and closed all the schools and called it quackery, because they couldn't make money on free. They couldn't make money if each of us could heal ourselves. In fact, that was a threat to what we're seeing the empire bringing down on us today. And this magnetism, if you get into magnets, you realize that magnets are in everything. How does a car motor run without a magnet? It doesn't. How does your refrigerator door close without a magnet? It doesn't. How do many things that we take for granted operate? We always talk about electricity, but you take the magnet out of it and nothing operates. Nothing operates. And then we go back to the Tartarians in the ancient, not so far away, like 100 years ago, when we had, hey Donnie, when we had all of these massive, beautiful cathedrals like Chartres and Notre Dame, and all these ones with all these domes with all these steeples on them. Well, those steeples were wrapped in copper around magnets, and those were healing centers, but they're also Wi-Fi they had back then. So this was only 100, 150 years ago. They had free Wi-Fi and they had benevolent energy that was used in magnetism, attraction, and they were healing animals. There's a place called something garden, not beer garden, but I'll think of it in a minute. It's in Germany. And this massive, massive building had these 44 tones, and these 44 tones put out energy vibrations that would heal all the animals from around the world. From animals all around the world would be healed. I almost thought of the name in a sec. Stiergarten, something. It's in what's the main capital of Germany? Anyway, so they were healing all the animals using these sounds, and they bring animals from all around the world to preserve species and whatnot by using these healing centers. And then these healing centers were co-opted and taken over, and the churches put on top of them, and the crosses put up, and then they were used for the purposes we see today. But these healing centers were all based on gematria, on sacred geometry, where the domes were of a certain type of geometry, the floors were of a certain resonance, even the stained glass, where you see those stained glasses, where they have all these different patterns in a circle, those had geometric energy. When the sun would come in, it'd hit the copper and the lead inside the stained glass, and it would go down to the floors and create the vibration, and it would create this incredible cacophony of beautiful sound and healing sound using frequency. So you know, all of this is about healing, you know, and I've talked before about this, about why healing is so important right now, where one of us, or you know, all of us are toxic in some way. All of us have something going on, and the big conversation going on now is, you know, is the COVID virus actually a virus, or is it caused by the terrain? And Dr. Garcia is very adamant about this. You know, the viruses and whatnot, the terrain, he says, and Mark, correct me if I'm wrong, or anybody else that's listened to Dr. Garcia, but there's the genetic disposition is a falsehood. We don't bring in genes to, you know, have a cause of disease, you know, that they were predispositioned before we came into this world. It's all acquired immune deficiencies. It's all acquired from the terrain we live in. Why do people get the flu in one area, but not everybody get the flu in the family? Because it's the terrain they live in, and everybody has their differences of their little idiosyncrasies, their little vibration, not little, but our own individual vibrational frequencies that we all react to. And so that's why I'm going to go in today about how you drill down and drill down and drill down, so we can get to, you know, universal healing. So that you get to, I asked Dr. Garcia and if he's ever gotten anybody to homeostasis, where we're between 7 and 7.3 pH, which is a perfect balance between acidic and alkaline, and that our cells will repel any pathogens, any viruses, bacteria, funguses, any of those will be repelled, because we're living in a homeostatic state of perfect balance. And that's our goal. And I asked Dr. Garcia, I said, have you ever gotten to the point where you've gotten an all clear from somebody? And he just started laughing. And he goes, that's a good one. Tell me another one. So, you know, we have this predisposition that we come into this world. We acquire the crap we live in our environment, and our toxic soup of our geoengineering spraying, and the whatever the food is they're serving us these days, and the water that's been tainted. I mean, it's by design, but this process and getting ourselves back to homeostasis is my goal. And I hopefully within whatever period of time it takes, that I can really learn how to drill down, so that I can take something that Nancy has an issue with and say, okay, Nancy, I'm going to get you all better. Not just some better. I'm not just going to deal with the low-hanging fruit and say you got a hearing issue or your throat's sore or can't sleep. That's what we're all kind of doing right now. But what I want to get into more today is how do you go and drill down to find the exact causal roots? And I have done treatments on my dog, Mark and I, and we've done maybe 10 or 12 treatments on my dog. I'm still working on them. Can you grab that, Mark? Mark has done maybe 10, 12 treatments on himself. I've done, you know, 8, 10 on myself. Mark's done some treatments with me, others as well. So it's a process. The process isn't just that we do one session and boom, you're better. Although many, many, many times, as Leo will attest and Donna will attest, that we have to keep drilling down and drilling down and drilling down to the causal roots. We start with the low-hanging fruit, we get to the branches, you feel better, you get to the trunk, and then we get to the roots of the causal issues. And Dr. Garcia says when you get down to those roots, over 80% of the time, what are you going to find are the causal factors? Anybody? Come on, level one, what's the answer?
Emotions.
Emotions, yes. Emotions. Emotions are some of the deepest rooted causal factors of our issues. Okay. Okay, I'll send it right now. Hang on one sec. I got to do one invite here. So does anybody have any questions before we get going here?
Dr. Garcia, he said that, you know, it's not all about genetic disposition, like you said, but he also said some of it could be spiritual, like heritage or actions of lineage that goes down from some of your descendants and stuff of how what could happen in this life or whatever as well. Yeah,
that's a good point, and that's what we talked about on the hang on one second here. Invite. There we go. That's what we talked about last time is the Ahriman influence, the Luciferian, which is the feelings, emotions influence, and then Azuric, which is the overall spiritual conflicts we'll be encountering as we raise our consciousness and start operating at higher vibrational frequencies. And that's you know that I'm reading this book now. Hang on one second here. I don't know if you can see it. It's called Humanity's Last Stand, The Challenge of Artificial Intelligence, a Spiritual Science Response. And I encourage you all, if you've got, you know, sitting at home and you got, look at the new Netflix or a new Amazon video called Upload. And they just released it about eight days ago. It's called Upload, and it's about, hey buddy, it's about what the world looks like in the future. And this is on Amazon Prime and everybody's watching it. And it's about how you're all gonna have your thumbprint open your door. You're gonna live your life past this physical life in a world, a realm of a mental storage of all your information. And you'll be living in this kind of like world where you can still connect to the real world, but your physical body is not there. So you're living a virtual world kept in state. And they've got like 8 episodes on it, or 6 episodes on it already. And this is where they want to take us, into this artificial intelligence world where we're all going to be having to have biometric IDs. If you do get this vaccine, please look at hydrogel. And also that knowing that when we get into this stuff, whatever they do to us, magneticity, we're going to be able to have some effect on what they're doing. Just like Dr. Garcia and Dr. Goyes have been able to lift many of the pathogens, like Dr. Goyes started with AIDS back in the 90s. He found some magnet placements to lift some AIDS, which was really caused by Burroughs Wellcome, which was the toxic vaccine they gave him, which actually gave him the AIDS. So he would lift that out of them. He's lifting out hepatitis. He's lifting out malaria, Epstein-Barr, tinnitus. I mean, all these things are being lifted. So he's highly confident, and I'm pretty confident too, that as we keep learning this, no matter what they throw at us, as we keep getting our bodies into better balance, we're going to be able to mitigate and arrest and stop and halt and, you know, deal with a lot of these things they're throwing at us, because magnets are everywhere. And when you start using magnets, we haven't tested it yet, but if anybody has a pet or knows a vet, I want to test and see if we can deactivate the chip in an animal. So animals get chipped for tracking, right? And now they're planning on doing it for humans. So if we put a magnet on each side of the chip, if you know a vet or somebody that has a testing device, I want to know if we can deactivate that chip by putting a magnet on each side. It would take 15 minutes to find out. So if you know somebody that's a vet, or you can have a machine that can check and see if your animal has a chip, hey buddy, how are you? And
Hey buddy, I'm awesome.
all right. And so, you know, we can find out more and more about this electronic world and use magnets to mitigate and halt and stop and change what's going on. All right, so where do we go from here? Does anybody have any questions before we start getting into drilling down more? Anybody want to say anything about this week? Any placements they did, or anybody do anything that they found any results? Mateo, anybody?
If I can share, actually, last week, Jamie, you had mentioned the ear-to-ear placements for a couple of reasons, and it's so synchronistic because the next day I was walking on the street and a fire truck was passing right by me and honked the fire horn, like right next to me, and my ears were ringing and they were kind of blocked,
Okay.
and I couldn't hear, and just like any little sound was like really bothering me. So I did the placement. I did it 2 days in a row, and yeah, within about 48 hours, it was pretty much gone, the damage.
So
I'm 100% back now. Yeah.
So you were walking down the road, and were your ears ringing before this, or no?
No, absolutely not. Perfect ear health. It just that I was right next to the fire truck. They honked the horn, and it was incredibly loud. Actually, like it actually shook me. It was that loud, and like my ears are ringing, and for about like a day or two, and I did the placement 2 days in a row, twice, and it was gone within about 24 hours after the second time I did the placement, pretty much.
Nice. That's
I did some testing for my cat. I haven't put the placements on, but I found she had the cytomegalovirus, and I found a couple placements, personal pairs for her. So I don't got the placements on her yet, but next week.
okay. Thank you for sharing, you guys, and keep doing it.
I have a.
Go ahead.
Me? It's Sarah. I have one more. Sorry, my daughter was stung by a bee yesterday, and I couldn't find the bee sting placement, so I just did pain, and she the pain went away immediately, and she took it off, and then it started coming back. So I placed it back on her, and then she slept that night with it on. And in fact, she went to bed and she had shifted her magnets and didn't realize, and it said, "Oh, it's coming back." And I was like, "Your magnet shifted." And we put them right back on. She woke up the next day, nothing. Like it was completely normal.
Where did you put one on the pain? Black on the pain generally is where you go. Where did you put the red?
Yeah. So just the same for any pain. I put it on the nerve and between in your groin and on her kidney on that side.
Nice. So yeah, so this is something I think Nancy could probably attest to too, when you had that inflammation, or your son had the inflammation on his foot or something and it went away right away. But you can put the pain, like I had a friend who had a bad toothache that he'd had for 2 years and it was getting worse, and he wanted me to drive him to the dentist. And I looked up on Dr. Garcia's teeth, and we're going to get into teeth here a little bit. And so I put a black on his tooth on the molar, and it's very common. This is very common, Dr. Garcia finds. And then I put one on his, I scanned his right kidney, left kidney. I put one on his right kidney, I think. And 15 minutes later, I wasn't even thinking about it. He's sitting in the chair and he goes, "Oh my God." I go, "What?" He goes, "I don't have that pain anymore. It's been there for 2 years." I go, "Oh, that's good. Well, let me know how it works in the morning." He went home, came back the next morning. I said, "How's the pain in your tooth?" He goes, "I just had the best night's sleep I've had in a long time. I didn't feel my tooth once, not once." I mean, and this is the stuff we can get into, and I'll get in more into teeth, because as I did with Mateo, he had a dead tooth he told me about. And this, we'll get into screening when we do our uptake, when we start meeting people and start doing an interview. And he said he had a dead tooth, but he also said he had some issues with his legs. And so something told me to go look into the tooth. So I got up the tooth chart. Here, let's do it now. So I got up the tooth chart and I looked at the teeth and I said, "Well, tell me which tooth it was that you're referring to here." And we found it was tooth, I forget the number. Remember what tooth it was with you?
Yeah, on the chart that you had shown, it was 33. I know the numbers change depending on the chart sometimes, but the one that you had shown was a 33. And it was dead on. Yeah. And actually, that was prior to me actually letting you know that I had the dead tooth. So that was quite something.
Oh, okay. So I found the tooth issue when I was scanning, and you hadn't told me about it?
I had told you that I had a face paralysis due to a wisdom teeth issue, but then when you scanned, you found another issue, and you pointed at that tooth specifically, and I hadn't brought it up, but that was a different issue, and actually had a dead tooth. Yeah.
Okay. So this will be a little more advanced than what I was going to start with, but we'll go from here. Let me just bring this chart up here. So if you don't have this chart, I'd be happy to send it to you. And this is just another way to go about scanning. And here can everybody see the tooth chart up here?
Yep.
Okay. So you can see that nerves are connected to teeth. My brother's a dentist. He doesn't want to go anywhere near this conversation. But in our hands-on seminar with Dr. Garcia in New Jersey, there were 2 dentists there that are using this type of healing. They don't even use Novocaine. One of them doesn't even use Novocaine anymore because he's able to control the pain so well with using magnets. So he doesn't have to use Novocaine on people. So what was the tooth number we had?
33.
All right, so you see down here at the bottom of the mouth, 33. The number is, where's 33? There it is right there. All right, so 33, you can see that every nerve is connected to a tooth, and some are multiple nerves. And I didn't get the chart ready, and it'd take me a while to find it. But if I were to take this tooth, and what I did with Mateo, since I knew he was dealing with leg issues, I said, does Mateo have issues connected to this tooth that we can help with magnets? Yes. Is tooth 33 part of the cause or all of the cause of his leg issue? Yes. Well, that's a big connection right there. All right. So yes, we have a connection that his dead tooth and his leg are connected. So then I said, okay, I'm going to drill down and I'm going to find out what that connection is. So I pull up either a Gray's Anatomy or a Johns Hopkins chart, anatomy chart of teeth and nerves. And I followed the nerve from tooth 33, and I followed around the back of his jaw. And then I went down and I said, okay, here it says that this tooth 33 is dealing with concentration on the medical plane, on the mental plane, the eye, the hip, the knee, the muscles, and the tendons. On the physical plane, notice knee, muscles, tendons, hip. Ooh, hey. And then I said liver, bladder. And I said, is the liver bladder issue something I need to deal with his dead tooth and his leg issue? Yes. So then I went into the liver bladder and I said, is in the liver bladder, is it the liver? No. Is it the gallbladder? Yes. I get a big yes. So then I get up a chart of the gallbladder, and as we're going to get into a minute, I started drilling down and I said, is it in the artery, in the vein, in the nerve? Oh, so there's something in the gallbladder, in the nerve, that's connected to his tooth. So then I pulled up a chart of the gallbladder nervous system, nerve, anatomy, gallbladder, and I started looking at the nerves. And when I pulled up the nerve chart, there's 20, 30, 40 nerves. So just like there's a quadrant here in front of you on the teeth, I said, is this nerve in the left upper, left lower, right lower? So then I looked at the nerves in the right lower and I said, is it that nerve, that nerve, that nerve, that nerve? Boom. I forget what nerve we hooked up on, Mateo. I'd have to go to my notes. But
Sure, no problem.
yeah, and then when I got up the nerve of what the issue was, I said, is this the nerve that's connected to his dead tooth? Yes. Is this nerve affecting his leg issue? Yes. Is this a treatment that he needs now that I can help him today with? Yes. That tells me I want to do a placement on him. So now how do I know where to do a gallbladder, since it's not on Dr. Garcia's list, it's not in the book, it's not in the protocol sheets, it's not on the issues and symptoms. This is something specific to Mateo. So I said, okay, let me find out where this issue wants a placement. Do you want the black placement on the head, the neck, the abdomen, thorax? Oh, you want a placement in your thorax, which is your throat. All right. So then I would look up black and I'd look up thorax in the protocol sheet, and I would scan until I'd say, okay, it needs to be placed on here. Is it a black placement? Yes. Is it this placement? Yes. Do I do the placement on his tooth? Yes. So I put a black placement on his 33rd tooth here with my intention about helping Mateo. And then I said, does the gallbladder need a red placement? Since that's the issue we're dealing with on the nerve. Is it a nerve? So I get up the gallbladder chart I already have up. I got the nerves there. And I say, is it this nerve again? I confirm, 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 confirm. It tells me that's the same nerve out of 20 nerves that are listed. I keep getting a yes on the same one. Now, when I get that nerve, the nerve can be this long, it can be this long, it can be this long. How do I know where to put the placement exactly? And this is what drilling down really gets into. Hang on 1 second here. Okay, let me get back there. So then I would find what part of the nerve, and what I do, and I can bring up a chart in a minute, is I will bring up a I'll bring up a nerve chart. I'll show it to you here. Hello. And I would suggest that you get on the internet and you download these different nerves and whatnot. But if you can see here, I know it's a small screen, but this is I'm dealing with my dropped foot, and I'm trying to really deal with the issues. I'm starting to get some success with it. And so this is a nerve, the tibia nerve goes all the way down to the bottom of the foot. Well, I need a placement on, let's say, the tibia nerve. How do I know what to do? So I'll literally place my pen down at a point, and I'll say, do I want to do a placement here? No. Is it higher? No. Is it lower? Yes. Is it below the knee? Yes. So then I'll do a placement at this nerve on the tibia. Do you want a placement here? No. Higher? No. Lower? Yes. Lower than this? No. Higher than this? No. To the left? No. To the right? No. You want the placement right here? Yes. And I'll do this while the sheet is sitting down in front of me, and I'll put the pen right on the nerve of each part of the nerve to find out exactly. And you watch Dr. Garcia do it. It's an exact placement with your intention. It doesn't have to be the exact placement physically, but your intention is what starts the healing process. So the more you can drill down, and we're talking about cells. We're talking about individual cells that are causing these issues, toxic cells. So I want to find out in that nerve, what part of that nerve and what cell am I or cells or groups of cells are causing some of these issues with Mateo. So I did some placements there. I did some placements on his leg. And then Mateo, what'd you say? Your leg got like 50, 60% better?
Yeah, like I think it's about, I had like a leg discrepancy, and it was about like a full inch. Now I'd say there's about like maybe a quarter inch left of discrepancy. So yeah, that was quite a significant change.
All right, and have you done placements yourself since then? Have you done your
Yeah, I have. I've repeated most of what you've done, actually. I tried the Goes pair as well again since you've done it.
Okay.
I didn't get like any resolution for that remaining discrepancy yet, though.
All right, so what I do is I keep a sheet of everybody's scan sheets that I do with people. There's Grant, there's you, buddy. And so what I do when I do a scan is I write down all the numbers of the pages or the placements that I want to do, okay? And then I'm keeping record of it. So if I was doing my buddy Grant, and I've got, I don't know, we've done about 4 scans already, and I've got maybe 40, 50 placements. What I'll do with Grant, before I even talk to him on the phone, before I even start working with him, is I'll scan all the issues that I've already done placements for. And this is why it's important for you to keep records. And I will scan them and I say, does Grant need any placements on this sheet today? And make sure you ask today, because if you don't set your intention for right now and you say, will magnets help my placement with Grant? And the answer is yes. So I'll do the placements and everything and he won't get any results. The reason is because he's not going to need the placements I'm asking for maybe another 2, 3, 5 treatments. But the answer is yes, he needs a treatment. And the Spirit's answering me. I'm asking the question, does he need a placement here? Yes, but it's not today. Okay, does that make sense? So I want to ask the placement, can I help my buddy Grant today? Yes. Does he need a placement today? Will he allow me to work with him today? Yes, 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 yes. All right. So now I'm going to go and I'm going to start my scan and I'm going to go through what I've already scanned since I've already found some issues. And remember, folks, we're peeling an onion. So maybe I did about 30 placements and I got this much peeled, and all of a sudden this starts coming up. But underneath, there may be some similar issues that we've already done the same placements on that are still underlying, that are causing, but we're getting new issues now. So that's why when you start, you want to go through what you've already done with people, scan what you've already done, and ask them to do their own scanning as well if they want. Like Mateo did. I did some scans, I didn't see any results, but he can ask the question, will these placements help me today? And he can find out. And the other thing to do when you're working with people and you're starting to do regular, I don't like the word treatment, regular placements, is that you want to ask when the next placement, when should I do another set of placements? So if I'm doing Grant, I said, okay, we did some placements on Grant. Can I help Grant with placements today? Yes. Should I do the placement today? Yes. And then when I'm finished a session, I will ask, does this person need more placements? Yes. Do they need them in a day, in a week, 2 weeks? All right. So after a week is 7 days. So I say, does he need placements in 8 days, 9 days, 10 days? So in 10 days, I would schedule another session with Grant to do another session with him. So the universe will let you know when you're ready to do the next placement. So you should be asking that. So what I have here, and I'll send this, I didn't send it in the notes today, but how to ask the right questions, how to drill down and really get into, in the question lies the answer, right? And with that, we have to go through, you can ask it verbally or silently. Some of the issues you come up with, you may not want to, somebody's eating over there. Who's munching on something? Oh, I got quiet, okay. So let's go down these questions here, this question tree that I made up and I'll send you. So again, asking the questions when you start the session, will this person let me work on them? Is this a good day to do it? Can I help them with my placements today? And get the yeses. If you don't get the yeses, you shouldn't be working with them. You shouldn't not be working with somebody if they're not open to it, unless you know for sure that they'd be open to this kind of healing work, okay? So do you wish to be helped with your issues today? And always before I start, I do a little meditation. I say, please allow me to help this person. And I really, Dr. Garcia puts a blank wall in front of him. I go to my happy place. I go to my beach in Hawaii and, you know, sitting at a sunset and go to my happy place. That's how I get into mode. And then I just let myself be a vehicle. Will you allow me to be a vehicle to heal? Yes. Please allow me to do that. Yes, we will. Okay, thank you. So when you start with a person, you start doing the work, you ask the question, do you wish to be helped with your issue today? If you're doing it on Zoom or whatnot, ask the person if they're wanting to be helped. And why you do this is because you want to get them to set the affirmative that they want to be healed. Some people have to go through their stuff in order to learn their life lessons. So if someone says, oh God, yes, I want to be helped, they're already helping themselves by setting the affirmative that they want to be helped, okay? So it's really good for you to ask, do you wish to be helped with your issues today? All right. Do you have time for the session today? So some people, you'll start working with them and they'll get into it and they say, oh, well, I got to be here, I got to be there, and you can't finish the session. So this is also under managing expectations. Find out how long you have to work with somebody. Find out if they're open to staying with you however long it takes as you go through the process. Because it can take an hour or two to go through one session with somebody and do all the placements. You don't have to have them in your presence. You can do them after you hang up. But what I found is when I'm working with somebody and I'm doing it directly on Zoom and I'm talking to them as I'm doing placements, stuff comes up. Oh yeah, well that reminds me of that headache I had when I got in that car injury. Well, you didn't list the car injury in your intake. Oh yeah, I forgot about that, but that's what caused my neck to go bad. Oh, so you're asking me to deal with your neck, but you weren't telling me that it was due to a car injury. That can be helpful. So those kind of things will come up, and then emotional issues will come up as well. And also that people will start to feel things, and as they're feeling them, they can respond to you as you're doing the placements. Oh, I'm feeling my fingers tingle. Oh my gosh, my jaw just loosened. And you'll get those kind of reactions. Next question. When you stop and you take a break or your mind goes adrift from focusing on the person you want to heal, thumb drive or whatever your scanning muscle technique and say, am I connected to Grant? Yes. Ask if can you reconnect to this person? Make sure you reconnect and you set your focus again on doing this. So am I connected to the soul? Yes. Now, what Dr. Garcia says is he asked the body to respond about what the body needs. So all we're doing is we're listening. Okay, you can listen with your mind, you can listen with your ears, you can listen with your eyes, you can listen with your intuition. There's many ways to listen. Whatever works for you, ask the body what it wants. And then the body will respond and say, I need a placement here, I need a placement there. That's what we're doing. We're asking the body what it needs. Some people have said, well, the body might not know what it needs. I haven't found that to be true. But again, you can double check. Is this the right placement? Will this help this person? You can ask question on question and get confirmation, 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 confirmation. And this only builds your confidence. All right. We went through the placement today. Now, so when I'm going through a body scan, I'm going to go through, and there, like I said, there's many different ways to go about it. And most of you I've been talking to now, you're doing issues and symptoms placements. You're doing the placements that are done with finding out an issue. I've got, like Mateo was talking about, ringing in his ears. Somebody's talking about some inflammation they had. So we're dealing with issues, but we're really not getting to the roots of the issues. And so that's where I want to get to today through this drilling down is how do we heal somebody completely, totally and completely? That's our goal, right? Not just to make us feel better or that we get a good night's sleep. Oh, that's great. But how do we keep it from coming back? You'll notice that a lot of these issues keep coming back. It'll get better for a while, and then it'll come back because we haven't dealt with the roots of the issues. So that's my goal in this session today, is really start working on that. And you guys feel free to ask any questions as we go on this. All right, so now I'm going to ask for each placement of a magnet, and we're going to do the scan. We did the scans already. We go through the scan sheet, which I'll bring up here. And I start scanning the body. And I ask through the protocol sheet, I'll go through Dr. Garcia's Bible, which a lot of you have now, and I'll ask for placements based on a scan sheet. So the very first thing I'll ask is on the protocol sheet, that if you don't have it, I'll send it to you. The first thing he has is reservoirs. And under reservoirs, let's take Donna. Can I use you, Donna? All right. So let's say I'm scanning Donna right now. And so if I wanted to deal with issues, I brought up the wrong one. I would start with this spreadsheet, which is dealing with issues. So I would scan, let's say if I'm starting with issues, let's start with issues. And I would say, does Don A have any issues I can work with him today on this sheet? Yes. Is it on this page, the first one? Yes. Is there more than one? Here's where you need to ask, if you got a long sheet of numbers, is there more than one issue on this sheet that we need, that can help Don A today? Yes. The first issue I'm concerned with, is it an odd number or is it an even number? It's even, okay? So now what I'll do is I'll go back to the very beginning and I'll say again, is the first issue on this sheet? Yes. Okay, so is the issue an odd number? No, it's an even number. Okay, is this issue, I'm looking at the left-hand column and I'm looking at the numbers there, numerical. Is this issue located in numbers 1 through 10, 10 through 20, 20 through 30, 30 through 40? Before I even ask the question, it comes up. So is it number 30, number 32, number 34, number 36, number 38? Drum roll, please. Donna, 38. Polio, lack of leg strength, virus. Why?
That sucks.
What does that mean? Do you have leg issues?
I do. My teeth are pretty messed up. So the same. That's why I remember the number for Mateo. In terms of my wisdom teeth are messed up, and I have a right hip issue that is constant. Truthfully.
Okay. So then I would go into the playbook, the Bible, and I would look at these numbers in column B here. This left-hand number is images I assigned in the first Bible, where he's got the third Bible out now. So really the only number you want is the B column, the right side, number 200. So if you look up in the book on number 200, we're going to find that.
Sciatic. Oops.
So 200, there's two images. So I ask on number 200, is it A, the top image, or B, the bottom image, which is sciatica, sciatica, okay? And the placements go on the back of the legs. I've had a herniated disc and my legs went to crap and nerve damage and anything. I found this placement, sciatica, for anybody that has any issues with their lower back, the sciatica just under the quads on the hamstrings. It's an awesome, awesome placement for people that have lower back issues. And that's just one of them. So now what I asked, since Donnie just said, when I said, okay, it's your leg, and now he's on the screen with me and he's did this whole, oh my gosh, it has to do with my teeth when you're talking about Mateo. Well, now what I do is I go back, you know, because he gave me a clue, he gave me a little insight into what's going on with him. And I'm gonna bring up this tooth chart again. Let me see if I can find that. There it is. All right, can everybody see that? Is the tooth chart up?
No.
All right, hang on a sec. There you go. Tell me when you can see it.
Yep.
All right, so my focus is on Donne, and am I connected to Donne? Does Donne have any tooth issues associated? It's already going up with his teeth, with his back, with his leg issue that we're talking about, his sciatica in his back. Yes. Is it on this chart that we can help him with? Yes. Is it in the upper half of the teeth we're looking at? No. The lower half? Yes. And then I just count off the teeth. Is the issue we're looking at 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36. 36. And then I'd say, is there any other teeth issues associated with his leg issue? Yes. So I'd write down 36. And now I want to find the other tooth. Is it in the lower half? No. Is it in the upper half? Yes. So another tooth issue, is it in the left quadrant? No, the right quadrant. So I'd say, is it 21, 22, 23, 24, 25? 25 is migraines, bronchitis, shoulder, elbow, nose, paranasal sinus, lungs, and large intestines. All right. So 25, and what was the other one? 36. There you go. Lumbago, rheumatism, that's his back. Connective tissue, elbow, shoulder, bronchus, lung, large intestine. So look at what we just found here, folks. We found that of the two teeth that we scanned, oh, is there any more teeth issues that are dealing with his leg? No. Have we got them all? Yes. You want to ask, you want to finish before you think you found them all. You want to make sure you find them all. So isn't it interesting, out of the two scans of his upper teeth and his lower teeth, if you were to close this as a mouth, wouldn't number 25 pretty much sit on number 36? Pretty close. See what I'm saying? So if he closed his mouth, they're really related to each other. And look, they're both lung, large intestines. So I would ask the question, is his leg issues related to tooth number 36? Yes. Is it related to his lung? No. To his large intestine? Yes. Okay. So then I would ask on the upper tooth, number 25, is this causing any migraines for him? Bronchitis, shoulder, elbow, nose, paranasal sinus, eye ground, connective tissue. So there's a connective tissue associated with this. And then is it the lung? No, it's the large intestine. So again, what I do, I'd look up the large intestine, and I'd say, is it, and this is going to get into the next chart, is this issue a placement needed on his teeth? Yes. On number 36, yes. Is it a black placement? Yes. So I'm going to put a black placement on number 36 on his tooth. Now, where does the red placement go? Does it go in his head, his neck, his thorax, his abdomen, his pelvis, his arms, his legs? Before I even say it, it's already going up. So then I'd get out the book and I'd scan for his legs under the protocol sheet.
Greater throat cancer.
Well, if I wanted to, this is one way I could do it. I could go in and I could say there's an issue with his leg connected to his tooth, just like we did with Mateo. But the other way I can do it is I can ask the question, as Dr. Garcia does, drilling down. Okay, so is the red issue in his leg, is it dealing with an artery, a vein, a nerve, a muscle, a ligament, or a joint? I get a joint, okay? So what I would do is I would ask him if he'd had any joint issues. I know he used to play a lot of hoops. So do you have any knee issues, joint issues, anything like that? Any surgery?
Yeah.
So is it in your knee or in you have joint pain?
I've always had joint pain. I've dislocated both of my shoulders and I ruptured my Achilles on my left, my left calcaneal tendon.
All right, so we got shoulder already as one of the issues here associated with your teeth. So this could help with your shoulder issues. I got down to the legs and I got down to a ligament in your leg. So then I would pull up an anatomy chart and I would say of the large of the leg, and I would look at the joints and I said, is it the knee joint? Yes. Do we need a red placement on the knee joint? Yes. Is this connected to tooth 25? Yes. Is this where a red placement goes? Yes. So I would put a red on the knee joint. Now I would want to know, is it in the front of the knee, the back of the knee, the kneecap? Yes. On the left side of the kneecap, the right side of the kneecap. So I want to know exactly where I'm putting this placement. So there's a ligament, if you look at a kneecap, there's a ligament that holds the kneecaps together. And on the right side, there's a separate muscle. I would look up what that ligament is, and then I'd put the pen on that ligament and I'd say, is it here, here, or here? And try and get as drilled down to the exact spot that this needs a placement on. All right. So do you see how he brought up something and that inspired me to go into something else, to find something else? That's what Dr. Garcia does all day. He listens. And then he just says, okay, we're going to do this. So if I was doing a scan with Don A, I'd write down these two, I'd do these placements. I'd ask, is there, here, I'm getting deeper into this already, but so now I found that there's a ligament issue with the teeth, and I would already know, is there a nerve issue dealing with this connection? Yes. Is the nerve issue something coming from his tooth 25? Yes. Is the nerve go down to his leg? Yes. So then I would be an inspector. I would get up my nerve chart, anatomy, and I would look for a nerve from the teeth, and I would look and see what nerve would go down. Is your right leg, is your left leg? Donnie? Or both?
It's my right leg.
Right leg. So I'd ask in the right, sometimes it needs the opposite to balance, but I'd ask, is this placement needed on his right leg, his left leg? His left leg wants the placement. So then I would ask, is this nerve going from his teeth to his left leg? Yes. So what nerve from tooth number 25 goes all the way down to his left leg, kneecap? And I'd find that nerve, it's a sacred sciatica is one of them. I think there's 3 or 4 of them. And so then I would look at my nerve chart. Now also we have this large intestine to deal with. Does the nerve issue go through his large intestine? Big yes. Now I'm drilling down. I want to find out what that nerve is going from his tooth through his gallbladder down to his left knee. Now I'm getting into something. Now I'm making a connection between stuff happening in his processing of his intestines, and something happening between his tooth and something happening physically in his leg. Okay. So then I would just keep drilling down. So then after I did all that, I would ask, is this associated with a fungus, a virus, a bacteria? And I would find if there's an associated symptom. This is what Dr. Garcia does as well when he goes through the chart. He'll ask if you find someone that has a parasite, there's usually a bacteria associated with it. If you ever find a virus, there can be funguses associated. So we want to keep drilling down and drilling down. So is Donné's large intestine associated with a virus, a fungus, a bacteria? No, it's a parasite. All right. So there's a parasite that's being affected. Does this require another placement? Yes. Is this a placement in his head, his neck, his thorax, his abdomen, his pelvis, his arms, his legs, his post-thorax, in his back? Okay. All right. So it wants a placement on his intestine on the right side, left side. And then I would look at the intestine, since it's a pretty, you know, how many miles of tubing do we have in our intestine, and find out where in that intestine. And then I would say, is that intestine a parasite? Yes. Is the parasite located in the artery, the vein, the nerves, the muscles, the ligament, the joint? So then I would want to look at what joint is associated with the large intestine there, and see if I could find some bone or some structure that's going through there, and ask, is this the parasite? Is it on the bone? Yes. Is it on this bone? And find out where that goes. Does he need a placement there? Yes. Is it a black placement? No. Red placement? Yes. Okay, so where does he need a placement besides the large intestine to balance on this placement? Where does he need a black placement? In his head, his neck, his thorax, his abdomen, his pelvis, his arm, his leg. Oh, it wants a placement in his leg. In his left leg? No, it wants a placement this time in his right leg. Okay, so now I'm going to scan on his right leg. Does this placement is it part of his upper leg? No. His lower leg? No. His knee? Yes. Now we're back to the knee again. So we did a placement on the left knee. Now this is wanting a placement on the right knee. So is it on behind the knee? No. On the top of the knee? Yes. On the kneecap? Yes. On the center of the kneecap? No. To the left of the kneecap, to the right, to the top, to the bottom of the kneecap, right underneath the kneecap at the bottom. Is that a black placement? Yes. So I'm doing a black placement on the bottom of the kneecap, and I'm doing a red placement on the joint that I can relate to on his large intestine. Is that making sense to folks? Are you kind of understanding this? Silence?
Yep.
Hank? I get a thumbs up from Hank. That's all I need.
Absolutely, you are the best teacher. I just cannot express my gratitude that you're sharing this with us. You know, at your own expense, and it makes total and complete sense. You make it seem so simple. I aspire to acquire your confidence in the future.
Thank you, Hank. I really appreciate those words. And again, this is just Mark's here. He's been out here 3 months now. He gets up and, hey, let's do some scans today. You know, he's pumping up the volume, getting us going. He's helping me do placements. We're doing it faster. We have been able to improve the scanning times significantly. And as I talked about before, when Dr. Goy started, he would place a black magnet on the top of your head, and then you'd have to go around the 200 circuits in your body of nerves, and you would test each one, and then you put a red, and you'd see if the leg shifted. Then you do another one, and it would take 4 hours to do one scan just to find out what those placements go. We're getting it down. Dr. Garcia does a 90-minute session, and he'll do 4 to 5 rounds of placements every 15 minutes. So he'll do a round, 15 minutes. He'll do 20 to 30 placements. Boom, pulls them off, scans again while the placements are on, finds the next ones, boom, puts them on, scans again. I mean, it's intense how fast this guy works. All right, so let me see if on these question sheets here. All right, so let me go to the next question sheet. And again, I'll send these all to you. All right, so this is drilling down as we go through, and then I'll send you these notes. So once you do the head, neck, thorax, pelvis, post-thorax, arms, legs, okay, those are the basics that your go-to. You're going to memorize that as scanning, and that goes along with the Bible. He starts with the reservoirs. He goes to the head, the neck, the thorax, the pelvis, post-thorax, arms, and legs, and then emotions are in the book as you follow them, the dysfunctional pairs. So once you find the placement of where you want to do the placements, there's drilling down even further, and that's what I want to get into right now. So then if I found something like I just did with Don A, when I found that was in his legs, what am I dealing with here? Am I dealing with his arteries? Am I dealing with his veins? Am I dealing with the nerves? Am I dealing with muscles? Am I dealing with ligaments? Am I dealing with joint? And what does space mean? Why does Dr. Garcia check for space? Because there's space behind the knee. There's space between the nerves. There's space, you know, that makes up the stars. We talk about the stars, but there's space everywhere. So he asked if there's something in the space between that he needs to deal with, and I get yeses on that sometimes. And then you'll ask, is the space behind the ligament, is the space in front of the ligament? You know, if you find it, you know, this is what you're dealing with. So you can find out which this is. So again, you go through head, neck, thorax, pelvis. I find that it's in his pelvis. Okay, I find it's this placement. What am I dealing with? I'm looking at his pelvis and I'm finding that his pelvis needs a placement on his testicle. What am I dealing with? We found one on somebody in a nerve in the testicles. I said, well, this gets interesting. So I start looking into nerves, and I never realized how many nerves are in a testicle. You know, it's all connected. I mean, I'm learning more and more about the body every day. All right, so then I record where those placements go. I ask, is it a red placement, a black placement? And then I keep going. Now, once I do that, I can ask after I've cleared, is there emotional issues that are attached to these physical issues? And so once you do, Dr. Garcia does the physical clearing, and are there emotional issues attached? So think about, we talked about unlayering the onion, and we're unlayering the onion, and all of a sudden this starts to come up, and this starts to come up. And now we've got these issues here that have come up, and these are emotional issues, all right? So I still have these other issues I'm still working on, but they're not as strong. Go ahead, Donna. You have a question?
I don't want to derail you from your focus, but can you continue on me, like as far as step by step what you're doing right now with your thumb testing?
Sure. So
If you don't mind.
No, not at all. So with this, you know, I'm not really focusing on, you know, really doing your full scan. I'll just do what we just found right now in the teeth. Is that all right? So we found the teeth, we found the intestines, we found the 2 legs, we found that there's a ligament, and now we're going to ask, are there emotional issues attached to these physical issues we're dealing with Donna right now? Yes, big yes. All right. So then what I do is, let me get up my emotion chart. I apologize for not having this all ready to go. I'll get out of there. Stop. Hang on 1 second here.
Take your time, Jamie. We're all grateful for you just being here.
But I don't want to waste your time either.
You're definitely not wasting anybody's time here.
Thank you.
Yes, indeed.
All right. Does everybody have their emotion charts? It's in the Bible, but also there's the emotion scan sheet that Dr. Garcia puts up. Are you guys familiar with that?
Oh, yes.
Okay. So if you have that, pull that up. All right, so what we're doing is we're scanning Donna to find out what emotional issues are associated with his physical issues. All right, so boom, 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 and there we go, boom. And there's an updated one since then, which I'm going to get from Dr. Garcia. And all of you in the group too, as Dr. Garcia upgrades his stuff, I'll send you the upgrades. So we have a direct connection as he keeps finding more and more things and issues, especially with all this stuff being spread around. All right, so now we're on Donna. Am I connected to Donna? Yes. Is there emotional issues attached to the 2 placements we were just dealing with? Yes. The first tooth, number 26, does he have emotional issues attached to that tooth? Yes. Now think about people, TMJ, grinding teeth and whatnot. Why do people grind teeth at night? Stress. Stress. You know? So without even thinking about it, and we've got 125, I think, different emotions on here. And one of the ladies that was in Danielle's and Mark's class, the hands-on, had 1,400 issues. 1,400 emotional issues she scans for.
We took level 1, but we didn't get to, I didn't do the advanced stuff. I wish I can, and if Garcia does do an online one, I will. Okay, gotcha. Yeah, I'm trying to talk him into doing that. All right, so you can scan along with me. So I'm asking on these 2 placements. On the first placement we did, we were talking about doing, does he have any emotional issues? And sometimes you have to clear the issue to bring up the emotion. So I don't know if this is going to work, because usually what I'll do is I'll do the placements, and then when I'm finished with the placements, I'll ask if there's emotional issues attached. So that's how Dr. Garcia did it. So I don't know if we can scan with you still having the issues we haven't done the placements on, with saying, is there something connected? But I'm getting a big yes. So scanning,
on here, I would go this first tooth issue, tooth 26. Does he have any emotions attached? Yes. Is there more than one? No. Column A, column B, column C, column D, column E. Column E is at an odd number? Yes. Number 1, yes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What's E15?
Stress.
Stress. Okay, so there you go. He brought it up. His teeth, his grinding, his tooth, his leg. Is this dealing with issues on his leg? Yeah. Go ahead.
It's accurate.
Okay, so then, is this stress? Now, this is really important when you're dealing with emotions too, because it's two sides, okay? So is this emotion some stress that's being caused to him? Yes. Is it caused from him? Yes. So I'm getting yes on both. 1, he's feeling stress. 2, there's stress being put upon him. So then I would ask, is this stress related to something that is current? Yes. Is this stress been around that's coming from him, not to him, from him? Is this stress something that's been brought on from his youth, from a teenager, in his 20s? Yes. Was this stress caused by a family member? Yes. In his 20s, was this stress started when he was 20, 21, 22, 23 years old? Stress, this family member, is it a parent? Yes. So was there something that happened when you were 23 with your parents? I don't care which one, and you're doing a thumbs up. We don't have to get into it today, but that's how you'd scan to find out, is there some physical issue associated? So he's dealing with stress from 23. You can also say, is this stress, past life, being brought into him? Yes, in a past life. So this stress that he's doing can be associated with past life regression. And you can get into the past life regression and start asking, is there something in the past life that he has to deal with? So
just to chime in really quick, Jamie, I found out about my oldest son. His mother got pregnant when I was 23.
Gosh, really?
And so the same scenario you have with Jackson, I have with my oldest son. I shared that with you.
Right.
And so just to expound, just to validate what you're saying right now. Wow. But keep going.
Okay. So thank you for sharing that, because that and then when you do this and you get that kind of response, it gives you so much more confidence that what you're doing is right. That what you're doing, when Donna's in Florida and I'm scanning his emotions, and first when I come up with 130 is stress, and I get an age and he tells me at that age this happened, and validates the work, validates that you're onto something here. So then I would say, is this something that we can help with magnets? Yes. So Donna feeling stress from in his 20s that he brought into this lifetime. Is this relationship dealt with a previous life? If I want to get into previous life stuff, I'd say, is this relationship with stress, did he bring into this life? No. Was this brought into his life? Yes. Was this a father, a mother, his son? So him and his son have been doing this dance in previous lifetimes. Is this something that he can work out with his son? Yes. Will it happen? Is it something that can happen now? Yes. So you can ask the questions, is this something he can deal with, and work on what kind of stress would be him dealing with in this time period. So then I'd want to know what physical placements I can do to help him with his stress. So now we go down the question tree. Is this stress related to black placement in his head that we can do, a neck today, a thorax, abdomen, pelvis? So then I'd bring up the pelvis chart. I'd scan the pelvis chart. And I'd say, is it on this sheet? Yes. Is it an odd number? No. Even number? Yes. 124, 126, 128. 128. Is it a bladder? No. Sacrum. So is the black placement for sacrum? So I do a placement for stress for the black sacrum. Now remember, your sacrum, your sacred. This is a sacred nerve. He's talking about his son. Now, I don't know that it's a nerve. I assume that. So I'd ask, is this sacred black placement to deal with an artery, a vein, a nerve, a muscle, a ligament, a joint, space? So this is telling me the black is going for the space in his pelvis and his sacrum. So I'd bring up a sacrum, bring up a pelvic chart, and I'd look at all the areas there, and I'd put a pen and I'd say, is it here, 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 till I found the space that it wanted. But I'm sure I'm going to find when I do the other side of the red that it's going to tell me what's connected to that, because it's likely going to be a nerve issue. I'm saying this, not Dr. Garcia. Most issues I find dealing with emotions, the nerves are a big causal factor in it. Okay. What makes your finger go up? It's your mind telling your finger to move, but what makes it go up? It's you telling your nerve to stimulate your finger to move. It's the nervous system. Okay. So now I'm going to find out where the red placement goes with Donna for the stress issue we're dealing with. Am I connected to Donna? Yes. Is it his head, his neck, his thorax, his abdomen, his pelvis, his arms, his legs? Right leg, left leg. So it wants a placement in the left leg. Are we dealing with artery or vein? Nerves? Nerves comes up right away. So then I'd get up the chart and I'd look under nerves and I'd say, is it the vagus nerve? Is it the tibia nerve? What nerve am I dealing with? And then I'd scan the sheet, which I can probably do right now, since I got my nerve chart up. This is one of my nerve charts right here, going down the back of the middle of the leg. There's more. And so I would ask the question, is this red placement on this chart? Yes. Is it on the left side? No. The right side? Yes. Is it in the top half? No. The bottom half? No. Is it in the middle? Yes. So again, we're focusing on his knees. Is this placement dealing with, now I'm going to start reading off the nerve, superior nerve, inferior nerve, sciatica nerve. Yes. There you go. Sciatica nerve, behind his knee? Yes. Straight behind his knee? Yes. Behind the kneecap? Yes. They're going to place it right where the branch is at the tibial nerve and the sacral nerve, sciatica nerve. Yes. So now I know that the placement, I don't know if you guys can see this or not, is at the sacral, where the sacral nerve and the tibia nerve branch out. It wants a red placement right there. So I'm going to do a red placement there, and I'm going to do a black placement in the space I find in his pelvis to deal with the stress issue.
And this is, I just want to say, this is so fucking accurate. And it's crazy that you're saying it, because I have it comes and goes, but the stress of everything that's going on right now, I don't really feel stress. Maybe I'm not too in tune with my emotions, but the fact that he's not here and local and close to me, right, that does affect me a lot. And, also my mom has dementia, Alzheimer's as well, but it's so accurate what you're saying. Like, I know I haven't divulged this to you at all. We don't talk like that, but at the same time, everything you're saying is spot on. I have sciatic pain right now as I speak. I'm probably going to stand up in a few minutes just because the pain is so severe. But as the stress compiles, I do think about, obviously, my son, you know what I'm saying? So it's just cool to see, to not validate, but what you're saying is so accurate. So accurate. But go ahead.
Awesome. And I'll do a follow-up when we're done, so we can follow up with you on that. So now we still have another issue on the stress, because one is coming from him, another is coming to him on the stress level. So is this stress level coming at him? Is this a separate issue? Yes. Is this coming from his family? No. Is it coming from his work? No. Is it coming from the environment? No. Is it coming from the world events? Yes. Well, who isn't stressed from the world events today, right? So I would ask, I would go to the emotional chart in the spreadsheet. Let me pull that up here real quick. And again, everybody kind of can design their own way of doing this. I'm just showing you how I do it and how you can go in many different issues. So on this symptom sheet, let me bring this up here. On the symptom sheet, I've got going right here, boom. At the very bottom, you'll see the tabs. And as you scroll down the tabs, you're gonna see the one emotional. All right, so here, look what's already highlighted, stress. And I can almost guarantee you, if I do a thumb test, it's gonna be that one right there. That's how the universe works. Sometimes it just shows you what it wants. Does Donna, something happening to him? Does this placement, number 190 on number 41? Yes, Cauda equina. Equina means equestrian, so it's a horse placement too. So number 190, do I want to do both these placements for stress? Yes. So will this help him with the stress being caused to him? Yes. Is this a world stress? Yes. Can everybody in the world benefit from this placement? Yes. So Hank, you need to put this placement on your world chart, okay? Under emotions. And I did on the first, one of the previous shows I did was on all the different issues: depression, sadness, attention deficit, doubt, jealousy, anger, lust, about the issues we have today. And you can look it up under the what's my biomaghealer.org and Biomag Healer YouTube. And I show the placements for emotions. So what I would say for Donnay is to get up the emotions sheet and then do these placements for the stress of the world, and do them for your family, do them for your children, do them for everybody, because everybody's feeling these different stresses. Here's another good one, number 44, 233, patella, kneecaps, fear and anxiety. I'm finding that a lot. This placement, I'm finding a lot emotions are fear and anxiety, because we don't know what the future holds. Anger, that's another one. This parietal, or temporal, that's another one we're finding a lot of on the emotional issues. All right, so now I found that this is a placement for stress for things that are coming at Donnay. Now, is there other issues coming at Donnay's stress? Yes. Is this a family issue? Yes. Dealing with his partner? Yes. So then I would go into something to do with his partner, and I do a placements and see where I find there and do a scan with that. And then after it was done, what Dr. Garcia did with me when he found out that the emotional issues of my son's mother leaving 6 years ago was the same time that my leg issues of polio got activated, he says, does Jamie need to work on, it came up repression on the emotions. Does Jamie still have repression towards what happened 6 years ago? Yes. Does he need to work on it? Yes. Okay, and so Dr. Garcia advised me to meditate, and to meditate on forgiveness, to meditate on letting go. So now I meditate on how I can forgive and how I can let go of these things that psychologically I determined was done to me as a victim, when in fact it's to teach me something. And now I look at it completely different, as that was a life learning lesson. There's things I needed to learn in order to get to here. So it's all part of the journey. Does that make sense to everybody? Everybody have any questions so far before we go on? You guys are all way too quiet. I feel like I'm talking to a wall.
Well, we love you, Jamie. We
Anyone confused about anything?
No.
I have one question about the tooth. So, does he have like a problem with those teeth, or like do you have molars, like something drilled in them, or is it just teeth in general?
Okay, Brad, it's hard to hear you. I'm gonna put you on mute, but I think what Brad was asking, if I heard him correctly, Donnay, was did you have molar issues? Did you have any teeth issues before that may have resulted or helped cause some of this?
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. I've had teeth issues for a while.
And I noticed that you got your hand on your mouth too. You're holding your
Just magnets. I put
magnets on them. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah. So a lot of times you'll find. I mean, think about if we were able to teach this stuff to dentists, where dentists could go in and scan people for their tooth issues. If dentists knew that root canal causes more problems than it solves, if we could fix the root issues of the nerves at the root problem without the doctors having to do root canal. That's what this one guy's doing. He goes, I don't do root canals anymore because I don't need to. He's already advanced his whole way of working in dentistry, where he doesn't need to use Novocaine and he doesn't suggest root canals when he finds nerve damage. He rebuilds the tissue. He clears the psychological issues associated. He finds out where the nerves are that need to be treated. I mean, how far could we advance dentistry if we could start working with these dentists to start bringing it on board? I mean, the possibilities. How about vets? How about vets if they start learning about animals? We did vets last week with pets. I mean, if we could get the vets involved with this, oh my gosh, this is huge. If vets could be a part of it. Go ahead, Donnay.
I had a great week with biomagnetism this week. I'm going to share this text. I don't think it is visible in the screen. Might take a second to focus, but if you can see that, that's from a person who's never used magnets, a father of a 4-year-old, and his daughter broke her tibia. So he asked me about coming over and placing magnets on her, and he had like great success with it. We had great success with it, I should say, and the swelling went down. I noticed just after one placement, and that text message that he sent me was the next day. The following day, he did another set of placements because I actually did them wrong when I went to his house, and I followed up. I thumb tested at home when I was a little more calm, and I told him, I was like, man, I think I did the wrong placements. And so I was like, try this. I sent him some pictures. I sent him from the Bible and stuff like that. And he did them, got results. Swelling went down. She fractured her tibia on a trampoline. But I had that happen. I had a friend come over today, a heavyset guy with diabetes. He had sciatic pain. I did the sciatic pain on the hamstrings, as we call, I guess quads we'll call them. No, hamstrings. We did that placement, and he was relieved from it. And I've also got a root canal coming up to work on too for a young girl who I guess she didn't get to finish doing her root canal, so it fell out. So she's dealing with like a lot of pain and stuff like that after the fact. So I'm looking forward to that. But the broken leg was the most impactful one for me. And he also wants to buy magnets from you too, Jamie. If you have him, I text Mark about that, because he's convinced now, and I've sent him, research and stuff like that on it. But he did the placements himself. I let him do it, use his intention, his focus, and got significant results. I mean, 2 days after she broke her leg, the swelling was down like to nothing. It looked like her other leg. It literally looked like her other leg. I didn't take pictures. I didn't document it, but she let me work on her, and it was just amazing. It was amazing to see the difference in, her limbs, truthfully.
So how did you know what to do? Let's walk people through how you did it. She would not let her father do it. She let me do it for whatever reason, but I knew his intention was stronger than mine. So I encouraged him to do it. You know what I'm saying? And then from there, he did it because he was trying to do the ice and elevation and all that stuff, but that wasn't doing anything. And she was very sensitive to touch. She was in severe pain. So her leg was huge and swollen, little 4-year-old girl. And it was hard for her to articulate basically what was going on with her. So I had him do it. And he, knowing the injury, I let him kind of, gauge her pain threshold and whatnot. But I showed him the book. I didn't explain to it in depth, but I let him kind of just try it out and see what happens. And it didn't work initially because, again, I had the wrong placements, but I called him back afterwards, gave him the right placements. He did bladder, placements on the bladder. I think it was black down. It was black on the tibia and the kneecap. And then we did red down actually on the kidney. And then we did it to the bladder as well. So the point of the break, and then we did also the bladder, and then we did placements on the kidneys as well. So we did that. She got fast results, immediate results, like literally overnight. And that was it. I mean, he was convinced, so he's been doing it every day since. Her leg's in a splint now, but we'll see what the recovery process is like. But that was just last week, like Thursday. So, but she's doing remarkably. So did you do a scan of her, or did you just kind of look up pain? Where should I plant pain and then did it that way? How did you come up?
I'm kind of horrible with that, Jamie. I'm still like trying to discipline myself to do a little more scanning, and be a little more thorough and trust. You know what I mean? That's a huge thing for me.
Right.
But I kind of also step out of the way of it and let the parents, because I've done this now 3 times with parents, and I kind of let them kind of do it because they care so much. Like they really want their kids to be better. So I did muscle tests for her. I did go outside away from everybody, and I tried to, just be in nature and calm, but I didn't get the right response. I'll say that. I didn't get the right answer, to be honest.
And when you knew you didn't get right answer, was that a little birdie telling you, or a feeling, or how did you know?
I knew. I said immediately. I was like, "That's not right." I was like, "I know this isn't right," but I was like, "We're just gonna do it anyway and see what happens." Because I did it like 3 or 4 times. I did it inside around all the kids, and they were going crazy playing video games and doing what they do. So I went outside by myself, and I did it again and got the same response. So I was just like, "Man, I know this isn't right, but we're gonna do it and see what happens." And when I went home and I settled down, I was calm. We figured it out, and it worked.
Nice. And this is what I'm referring to is like some people feel comfortable. This is why I want to do the protocol, but you can do issues. So if you hit Control F on this Excel spreadsheet, you guys, is that up? Can you guys see the Excel spreadsheet here?
I don't.
No?
I don't. I
Yep,
see.
there it is.
It came up.
Hang on, let me do it again here. Boom, 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 boom. All right, is that up?
Yep.
Okay. So again, this is for me taking the first Bible and putting all the issues and symptoms that I could find in Dr. Garcia's book. So specific issues, if this was what I was dealing with and I wanted to find out someone's in a lot of pain, and I'd put in pain under specific issues. So now, what's this person's name, Donnie?
Her name is, I don't know if it's Julitza or Juliana. Damn, I don't.
All right, that's all right. So we'll call Julia. So I would ask, I'd say, is this pain? Is there something in this issues of pain that can help with Julia? Yes. And then I would go down and find out where those pain issues would be. So what's the other association with injury, trauma, inflammation, right? So then I'd want to find out inflammation. And first I'd ask, does this person need an inflammation placement? Yes. So inflammation, and you might sometimes have to use different words to find out. So here's inflammation. Is this placement needed? No. I'd find the next one under find next. Boom, find the next placement. And so I just go through and I'd find out where the pain, the inflammation, again, the low-hanging fruit. She's in pain, she's got inflammation. What's the other thing associated with this for someone young? What would be another association that we could just come up with and pretty obvious? Anybody?
Fear.
There you go.
Vaccines.
Emotion. Vaccines. So emotions, fear, trauma, right? So I'd scan for emotions and say, is there emotional issues associated with this? Does this person with emotional placement help this person? Yes. And if your body's calm, you can heal better. If you're all, pain and suffering and heads in all different places, you're not going to heal as fast as if you're in a balanced state. So I would go through the emotional issues too, Donna, on her, and I would scan her for emotional issues. And then I would also teach her how to do her own placements. Because these emotional issues from, now my legs hurt, now I can't do gymnastics, now I can't do this, I'm not accepted, people look at me funny. These are all little traumas that children go through. And if you'll notice down here at the bottom, these are traumas here. So this is a really good placement, this bladder trauma zone. So you could ask, is this placement needed for Julia, number 45, 47 says yes. So I would do right kidney, yes, and a trauma placement for her to help with, and I'd find out where that trauma is. The trauma could be in the head, the neck, it could be anywhere, all right? So this is somebody who comes to you, and we have the example of Dr. Garcia, whose father-in-law cracked his head on the refrigerator door, a big, huge gouge, the bone was sticking out, blood everywhere. He tells his story how he did a scan and he did some placements, and there was no pain, no hospital visit. The pain went away right away. That's in the Bible in the back there. He shows the placements for his father-in-law, and within 2 months, there was no scar. And this was literally an emergency room case. And Dr. Garcia, being a medical doctor, his wife screaming, "We're taking him to the hospital." His mother-in-law is screaming, "We're going to the hospital." No, we can do this. Can you imagine that? When your father-in-law is on the floor bleeding profusely, and you can see the bone through his skull, and you're going to say, no, I'm going to treat him with magnets and see if it works. And he used pearl cream, he used stitching, and he shows the pictures of how it works. So again, there's many, many ways we can do this. All right, so another thing to do, really important, when you're scanning people, is when you finish your scan, what have you created? What have you created when you move the energy around in a person's body? What have you done to the cells, the toxic cells?
There's an imbalance.
Right, and you've broken them up. You've disseminated some of these cells. You've broken up these cells at the cellular level. You're taking the bad tissue, the bad organ, the bad nerves, whatever, and you're starting to repair and heal it. But you've got toxicity. You've got toxicity that has been broken up. Now, it's really fascinating to read how a caterpillar becomes a butterfly. The very last thing a caterpillar will do before a butterfly is it becomes food for the butterfly. It cannibalizes itself, so that when that toxic caterpillar is ready, it will become food for the butterfly, and it won't be toxic, it'll be food. So this is what Dr. Garcia says is why you do a reservoir clearing, or you ask for a reservoir clearing after you do these placements on everybody. The very last thing you do when you do a scan is ask if there's reservoir clearing that needs to be done. And what this does, and this is what's different, this is what's 5.0 in one regard versus Dr. Goy's 1.0, is there's a process called the Herxheimer process, which a lot of you are familiar with. So my buddy Grant, we're doing these placements on him, and Grant's had, he's had swine flu issues from vaccines from 76. He got nailed at 40 miles an hour sitting in a stop sign in Hawaii last year and had his back ran into by a lady in a car when he's sitting in a light. I mean, this guy, my buddy's had issues on issues. So he's gone nuts with the vaccine, or with the magnet placements, and he's doing great. So he's had respiratory issues. He's had his heart monitored. So he started to play around with doing placements around his respiratory and his heart. And Grant's on here with us today, and he can chime in if he wants. And so anyway, so he called me up, and I've been checking with him every day because he's getting into this, man. He's studying 4-6 hours a day, doing placements. Now he's starting to do placements with other people. He wants more magnets. I mean, he's starting to fly. Well, he called me and he says, Jamie, I didn't know if I was going to make it through last night. I said, what are you talking about? He goes, I was writing my will to my family. I felt so bad. My heart felt like it was coming out of my chest. My whole left chest was going nuts and stuff. And Grant, you want to share what happened next? Or no? Grant, are you there? Oh, there you are.
Yeah. So I had multiple issues. I had that car accident. I was stopped at a stoplight in Hawaii, and a lady hit me 50 miles an hour flush. So that was a problem. And then my girlfriend about 6 months ago, she came over for dinner and everything was great. And she passed away with an aneurysm the next day. So I had a lot of kind of issues built up, especially around my heart. I have a aneurysm in my heart, and I've had a bunch of swelling around my heart. One of the big things that happens is I placed the magnets, and it actually looked like one side was much bigger, like I was, my left breast side was way out, and it was kind of scaring me. So I did the magnet placements, and it drained a lot of the inflammation out, almost all the inflammation out around my heart. And I had a Herxheimer, and I just felt so sick. I had such sharp pains in my heart. I thought that my life was over. So I wrote my family a little note. I said, "Don't worry about me. I'm good." And anyway, that passed, and I've been using the magnets for hypertension because I have high blood pressure, and dealing with my emotions. I'm moving all the fungus out of my body. My sinus improved. My eyes have improved. I did the placements on my head today because I was a little stressed out, and I was talking to a guy on the phone, and I actually fell asleep for like 4 or 5 hours, and I didn't even hang up on the guy. I mean, it was crazy, but I'm having just so much success. I'm clearing so many things inch by inch. So it really helped my heart. It's really helped with the fungus in my body. It's helped with my sinuses. I don't have as much congestion anymore. That congestion's all gone. Sinuses are pretty much clear. The blood pressure's come down, and so has the hypertension. Candida's gone away, and now my heart's doing much better. So now I'm just dealing with keep moving through my body and working on my emotions now to correlate everything that Jamie's saying. So I've had so much success. I can't even say how amazing this is, and I can't wait to share it with other people. And it gives me a lot of inspiration, a lot of hope that I can, for the rest of my life, that I can help people and be a blessing to them, and you know, make a difference in the world. So it's just fantastic for me. I love it.
All right, so tell me, you already did your first healing with Pete in Hawaii. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so I did a healing with my friend Pete, and I was testing him for pathogens, whether it was virus, bacteria, parasite, fungus, and it kept coming up bacteria. And then I looked on the reservoirs, and I ran the reservoirs, and I said, buddy, do you have something going on with the tooth? Because he's had an eye problem where his eye's swollen and closed. It's all red, and he has no vision. Sometimes he can't drive. He can barely see out of one eye, and then it switches to the other eye, so it moves back and forth. So he's been having this problem for over a year. So I asked him, I tested him when I went through the reservoirs with him, and a tooth came up, and I said, buddy, do you got a tooth problem? And he said, well, yeah, I have an open crown in the back of my mouth where my tooth's infected. And he didn't put the two together. And so long story short is we figured out it's the bacteria from the tooth based on my scan that was giving him problems. He called his dentist, and he's actually having that tooth removed tomorrow. And he's taking antibiotics today for it, and he'll have the tooth removed tomorrow. But he's had this eye problem for over a year now, and he didn't connect the tooth with the eyes. So hopefully, I'm hopeful that this will resolve his problem. But it was fascinating because I had no idea. I just scanned him. The tooth came up, and bacteria, everything I did, bacteria, kept coming back to me with the scan. And so then he's got the bacteria problem in the reservoir in his tooth. So we'll see how that turns out, but I'm hopeful that will resolve that issue.
Yeah, and you bring up a really good point that Dr. Garcia brings up as well. And so when he was scanning somebody, and I forget which class we were in, he scanned somebody that had a thyroid issue. And the person said, no, you can't be, because I've had my thyroid removed. What's really important to understand is just because this person, Pete's having his tooth out, doesn't mean the problem's going away. It could be there energetically, etherically, okay? So just because someone's had something removed, and when you say he's removing the tooth, that's invasive to the body. That's not solving the problem. One of the things we learn about translocating now is that when we lift these issues, we're lifting them, but we're not solving it. We're just sending them somewhere else. We might send them somewhere else in our bodies. We might send them to somebody else. But we're not, it's called translocation versus transformation. So what I would encourage you to do, Grant, after he has that surgery, scan and see energetically, does he still have some tooth issues that need to be dealt with? Is there issues from the trauma of the surgery that need to be done and need to be dealt with as well? All right. And also,
I did scan his emotions, and so we got to the bottom of a lot of his issues. Emotionally, I was able to point out what's going on with him. So that's about as far as I got with him, though. But he does have a lot of issues emotionally, anger issues, and I don't know them all off the top of my head, but they were plentiful.
And we were scanning Grant's older brother, and I grew up with Grant. We've known each other since we were kids. And his older brother's been in a heck of a situation. And I scanned him for emotions, and I found out that what was it, 53 years old, Grant? He was a lawyer. And I said something about vengeance. And was the vengeance being brought onto him, or is he feeling vengeance towards somebody? And it came from him having vengeance. And he's got some big time physical issues that we're going to drill down and start to work with him on. And so it came up vengeance. So I asked Grant, what happened at 53 that, you know, your brother might be super angry and want to get even with somebody? He goes, oh, he was fired from his law degree, his law job, because he was too good at what he was doing. Boom. Boom. So then I started going, okay, let's deal with that, and started doing the scan tree based on that. That, you know, that's some, when you carry around vengeance, revenge, wanting to hurt somebody, want to get even with somebody, that is one of the most powerful negative emotions you can have, you know, and of course it's going to cause physical trauma. So, you know, that was just another example of, you know, getting into something. We're just talking. I said, let me scan them for emotions. But then again, once you find the emotions, let me go over it one more time. So with the emotions, is it, let's say we're talking about Jeff, Grant's brother. Is the emotion something from him? Yes. And was it something he brought into this world? No. From his childhood? No. Teenager, 20, 30, 40, 50s. That's how I do it. Okay, now 50, 51, 50, 53. So that's how I found out it was age 53. And I'd ask Grant or the person the question, what caused this vengeance that you feel? Do you feel vengeance? Do you feel something that happened at what happened at age 53? Let them tell you. And a lot of times those stuff will come up from their past life experiences or current life experience from the past that is currently still causing trauma in the body. Does that make sense with everybody?
Absolutely.
Okay. So let's go into reservoirs again, because that's where we started all this. So under the reservoir, so what Grant was saying too is, like, he went through a Herxheimer process where he felt super bad and then it cleared up. And I think, buddy, you said you had to piss a whole bunch. Like you had to go pee a bunch. Is that right?
I had also, I tried to eat and I couldn't eat. I mean, I was so sick. I literally just lied in bed for at least 12 hours because I was just overwhelmed. I was dizzy. I stood up and I was dizzy and no balance and short of breath. And I mean, it overwhelmed me and I really couldn't do anything. I just lied down for a few hours, but I thought I was going to throw up. So I brought a bucket to my bed and it was sitting next to my bed, you know, and I tried to eat something, and every time I tried to eat, I thought I was just going to throw up all over the place right there. So.
And then what was the after effect after all that was done? What did you feel after that?
All the swelling was on that one side of my heart right here was completely gone. It just all drained out.
And did you have a blood, you have a blood tester? You can test your blood pulse, pressure?
Yeah, I do my blood pressure.
Did it change? Did you notice any change, or did you do a test before?
Well, I monitor my blood pressure constantly. So I've been doing the placements on the carotid arteries right here for hypertension. And I'm definitely noticing whenever I used it today, actually, and my blood pressure's low. It's lower. It was lower than normal, lower than it's supposed to be today. So anytime I feel tension at all, I'm using the placements on the carotid arteries right here and right here, actually. And that just automatically lowers your blood pressure and your stress. If you're talking about stress, put it here and your stress levels will go down immediately.
Nice. All right. And so the other thing too on this chart here, this vital energy one, this is one I do all the time. This is what I call the feel good placements. Vital energy, creativity, inspiration, recharge body, perception senses, equilibrium balance, heart opening. We're finding a lot of heart medulla placements, a lot of heart opening placements we're seeing on a regular basis now in our scanning. So people need to open their hearts. We're being locked in, we're being closed up, we're being boxed in literally, and it's literally breaking our hearts. And if you have children, it's got to be breaking your hearts for what the future of children may be given what's going down. I know my heart's breaking. So I do these placements, the heart opening one, coronary lung, pineal gland opening, number 26, pineal medulla, opening up your medulla gland. I think I shared with you before, my son has been slow in school, and he's just a slow learner, and he's had tutors and everything, and issues. And so I did some placements for ADHD. I've got these placements here. Let me show you. and working with your children, folks, it's so important. So you can see all the letters C here. That's for children. Letter E is for elderly. So I went through here with my son and I said, does my son need placements for number 2, number 3? And I got learning, self-esteem, shyness, ADHD, learning inability, dyslexia. And I think that was it. And I can't prove it. But all of a sudden the kid came home and he got the second highest score in his class. And this was on a memory. His memory had been terrible. And it was on something to do with memorizing the anatomy. And he thinks it was because of the magnets. He says, Dad, the magnets really helped me. You know, and he thinks that this is the other thing about magnets. When you do placements on people, 20% of the time they're going to get better because of the placebo effect, because they think they're going to get better. So you've got that working in your favor. So what I do when I start placements on people, if I've got them physically in front of me, is I'm going to place these vital energy ones. I'm going to place them on the palms of their hands, on the bottom of their feet, on their kidneys. I call it the Raka chakra placement. But it's a lot of these placements right here to start stimulating the nervous system so it gets ready, it gets energized, and people, when they're waiting for you to start doing their scan, they're already feeling effects. They're already starting to feel something. And if you can get them to start to feel something, they're going to start thinking there's something to this. Because when you bring this up to somebody, and all of you have had this experience, you're using magnets to heal, and I'm going to put them on you, and you're going to feel better in 15, 20 minutes. And they're gonna think you're from the freaking moon. You know, they're going to think you just lost it, you know, but when they start to feel something, now they're in tune. Now they're working with you. Now the body's saying, hey, there might be something to this. And like your friend Don A, when they saw it, or your friend Grant with Pete, or yourself, boom, we've got converts. People are converting. They're starting to get it. So back to reservoir, because this is the final.
Can I ask one question here, Jeremy?
Sure.
The numbers on the that you just brought up there, are my numbers on the right or the left for my book?
Under vital energy. Yeah, so column B here, 68, 223, 57. Those are the only numbers you need to be concerned with.
Yeah, the numbers on the right.
The numbers on the right. And also,
okay.
I'm updating this right now, but if you have this spreadsheet or if you want it, this is from book 1. So if you find something that's page 28, or let's say number 30, Circle of Willis 2 times, and you turn to 30 and it's not Circle of Willis, you got to look a page before or a page behind to find where that placement is, because it's not apples and apples. Dr. Garcia's modified the Bible that most of you have. So this is not going to be exact. You'll have to look to find the image based on the numbers here, but I'm going to be upgrading that, okay?
Okay, thank you.
All right, so reservoirs. So you can see ones here, universal reservoir, universal reservoir, universal reservoir. Place these, folks. You don't have to thumb test. Just clear their system of the crap you just cleared out. It doesn't hurt to do this. When I start with somebody, I always put a kidney placement to start with. And Dr. Garcia says, oh, you got kidney placement on there already. I go, yeah, I want to start clearing them out right away. And he goes, that's a good idea. And he started doing that. He started putting kidney on, start doing the clearing. Why don't we start clearing the toxic issues as we're breaking them up? So I'm going to do universal reservoir 129, 131, 150, 152, and 153 if I scan and say, is there reservoir placements needed? Because this is universal. We all can benefit from these placements. So what I get to when I'm talking about these cells, so these little tiny little cells that are causing the toxicity, or maybe groups of cells, and now you've broken them up. And now these cells are all broken up and they're toxic inside your body and they're floating around. And all of a sudden you're having a Herxheimer process like Grant have, or you're having to try and pee it out, or you're trying to sweat it out, or you're trying, like me, I had to throw it out, okay? This process that Dr. Garcia developed of clearing the reservoirs at the end of the session eliminates a lot of that Herxheimer process. It eliminates a lot of the going down before you can get back up again to heal. So I really encourage all of you, when you go through all your scanning, at the very end of it, the very last thing you do is you ask if the reservoirs need clearing. after you've done your work on people. That makes sense? All right, so I want to hear from some of you. Anybody want to chime in with questions? Tammy, you got a question?
Hey, I'm gonna take off, but
Sorry, 1 second.
Donnie and everybody.
Second.
Anyways, I want all you guys do. Have a good evening. Thanks again, Jamie.
All right, so anybody, Tammy, you got a question?
Yes, I have something to say. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you fine.
Awesome, super. So, because of my kids, I put in the chat a link to a really great book that has to do with reservoirs. And I think it's a really good supplement to finding, if you're not really great at dowsing or just kind of having a foundation for which viruses and bacteria and fungi like to sleep where. And it's called The Cure for All Diseases by Hulda Clark. And before I met you, working with my clients and things, it was always a go-to. So I put that there, and it really resonated in your entire lecture today, because when you say something sleeps somewhere, it's also in her book 100% everything that you said. So I found that pretty incredible. And then also I had some personal experience myself because of her book long ago. I believe in the meridians of the teeth, and I had 2 root canals before I turned 20. And then I had 2 more due to stress when I was moving to Boston for the first time with my family. I'd never moved before, and they were just due to like sensitivity and stress. But the dentist decided to pull them out of my face and give me root canals. And I found a biological dentist 4 years ago to extract my root canals, actually. And when you brought up that all these diseases live in the teeth, I paid a fortune to have my root canals sent to a lab to be analyzed under microscope. And it was found, and I can share with you my lab results, but these bacteria in the root canal were 40 to 100 times stronger and more mutated. They became super bugs because you're leaving dead tissue in the jaw. And that, according to these meridians, fully, identifies these other causes we have. And then we get to the root of the cause, and I have many DVDs on Mantak Chia about Chinny Sung, and it's about finding the pearl at the bottom of the sea. And that at the root cause of all our diseases is a frequency and an emotion or a trauma. So when we explore yogic traditions about the right side of the body being male and the left side being female, the polarities of the magnet, the shoulders being recent karma and the hips being past karma. So when I'm using the magnets on my family and friends, I'm always integrating these past philosophies of polarities and emotions and these traumas, because we attract what we are, and we are all walking magnetic fields. And I believe that this is the future of medicine, and it is so incredible, the things that you've taught me. So I just want to share my appreciation. My garden is blooming. I have Southside magnets on all the roots of my fruit trees, and they're getting new growth. Everything that I've learned in the past few weeks, I'm honored and I'm grateful, and I just wanted to share. Super stuff. Thank you.
And thank you. Tammy, expand a little more for those of us, like you've been at this now for what, maybe a month?
Yes.
Okay, so how did I saw you sent me, you got the magnets and that you started doing the placements. So what happened? And what was your first experiences with magnets?
Well, I even since getting, so I have these back here extracted. It was very tough for me egotistically to pull out my teeth at such a young age. And you know, I've always had right side from hip all the way at the base of my spine into my shoulder congestion and up into my neck. This issue has been about 10 years now. It coincides with disease when I was bitten in Boston. And a lot of it for me has to do with liver congestion and toxicity. So I find when I do a Hulda-Clark liver cleanse, which I do probably every about 3 months, it's really, really, really changed my life for hypertension. But I've been on a long search for health since having that happen. I normally wake up throughout the night in a lot of pain, joint pain, especially on my right side. And after I met you, and I bought the magnets, I placed them. I actually slept with them and I didn't know the protocol for sleeping with them. And within 20 minutes of placing them, my pain was at 80%. I slept with them at night. I had the best sleep of my life. I've purchased Earth Pulse magnets and I have 2 sets and they are, you know, electricity powered. You know, PEMF around the room. I've bought very expensive equipment, PEMF machines from Dr. Pollock, all of them for my husband who is a professional athlete. Nothing has helped us. Like, we've really put a lot into our health with, I have a Bachelor of Science, I have acupuncture background. It really was an obsession, a healthy obsession to try and figure out how to heal my family. I slept with the magnets on my body. I woke up feeling refreshed. I have not slept through the night like that in years. I have been using them on my children, on my pets, my husband who switches beds 4 times a night. I use some kinesiology tape and I tape them on him, and it's within minutes we feel a very big difference. We wish that we didn't have to repeat the treatment, but that's life. You know, like you said, right. You can never clear the reservoirs, but it's been a very wonderful blessing to have this come into our lives right now. So I'm grateful. Thank you.
Oh, thank Dr. Garcia and Dr. Goy.
And you too.
And thank you. And we're well. And while you were talking, I was scanning the reservoir sheet and I found several reservoir placements that can help you clear some of the stuff.
Thank you.
And I'll send you those links as well. So I would recommend with all that you're doing, again, folks, check the reservoirs. I mean, make sure you check your reservoirs clearing, because when these toxic cells are in you, if you can make it the Pac-Man, let's say that you've broken these cells up and they don't have anywhere to go, they're going to try and get out of your body. But if you bring it down to such a small level, it now becomes food for the healthy cells. That's what the reservoir clearing does. It creates food for the healthy cells. So the healthy cells will eat it because it's no longer toxic. It won't need to be flushed out of you. So this is, again, 5.0 from the 1.0 of Dr. Goy's. It said, oh, you're going to go through these processes and you're going to have to go through all this pain and suffering and whatnot. So I really want to encourage everybody to do the reservoir clearing and see what kind of results you get, because that seems to mitigate a lot of the after effects of these treatments. And like Tammy was saying, it's layers on layers on layers. And so what I'd like to see you do, Tammy, down over the next few months is do the whole protocol. Do a scan of yourself and go through the sheet like we just did, and then find out where the issues are, and then peel back that part of the onion, peel back that part of the onion. Because that's when we're really going to get to the actual full healing, because our goal is to become fully healed. And then we can bring it to others. Then we can start saying, hey, this worked for me. But using the scan sheets, using the protocol, using Dr. Garcia's, and then one last thing. Wow, where does 2 hours go? One last thing here. I wanted to bring up this. All right, can you see this? Is that on your screen, the virus? Can people see that? Donnie, can you see that? Give me a thumbs up.
No.
You can't
Yeah.
see. Can you see that, people, at all?
It's not really clear. It's not really clear for me. I don't know about it.
I can see it, but I can't read it, Jamie.
Got it. Okay, so just this is what we talked about before. Now, okay, so we've got the protocol clear session. Then we go down to whether it's an artery, a vein, a nerve, a muscle. Then we get into the emotions. Then we go through the most common pathogens. Then we get into specific issues and symptoms. This is level 5, Dr. Garcia. This is what he does when he's done everything else. He'll go through, and this is his. It's in Spanish, so I'm trying to translate it. But I'm finding really, really good success now as I'm drilling down. This is the final step now towards drilling down, and there's over 400 issues. And I went and copied this, and I enlarged it so it's easier to see, and I'll send this to you in the notes. But this is what I'd scan. So let's say if I'm scanning for Don A and we're back to him and his issues, I would scan this sheet and I'd say, is there anything in this virus scan sheet of over hundreds and hundreds of issues that could help Don A today? Yes. So is there more than one issue? Yes. Is the first issue under column A, column B, column C, column D? So I'd look up column D, and then there might be 20 viruses associated with 20D. And then I'd look up the actual Spanish name, and I'd convert from Spanish to English to try and figure out what the heck Dr. Garcia is talking about here. He says by the end of summer, he may be able to translate this. But this is how he drills down even further. So we were doing something today with somebody, Mark's sister, I think, and he asked me to drill down on her virus. So I found this issue which had to do with the dorsal. So where's the dorsal? It's in the hips. Okay, then I found out it was a nerve. Then I found out in the dorsal and the nerve, it was a red placement that was placed on this nerve. So you do the same exact thing of drilling down that you would, even though you don't even know the English name, but you'd be looking at this one issue. Let's say we're talking about A number 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 right here. Whatever that issue was is my focus, and I'm trying to find out where the placements go. So I'd say, is this placement belong head, neck, thorax, boom? Is it an artery, a vein, boom? Is this vein right there? Yes. Is it a red placement? Black, black. Okay, where does the red placement go? And I do the same drill. So this is a whole nother level of scanning because we've got issues on issues on issues. But this is, Dr. Garcia says, you're going to lose everybody when you go there with this, Jamie. I said, no, I'm not. I got a smart crowd with me. So I'll send you these scan sheets, and you can scan these viruses as well. Comes up in Spanish, and then you can look up the Spanish word to see if it can translate. Sometimes it doesn't, but you don't need it. You just need to know where to put the placements. So then you take number A5, and I'd scan it and say, for Don A, he needs a placement here, here. Okay, boom, boom. And I do that. And I did that with my leg, and immediately my leg got better. I mean, and I had like 5 issues from this virus sheet. So this is a whole nother level of scanning besides the protocol sheet, besides the issues and symptoms, besides the most common pathogen, besides the motion sheets. So you can see how many different ways we can scan. Does that make sense?
Jamie, I got a question. I was using that sheet for the cytomegalovirus for my cat when I was scanning Misty, and I did that like after the fact. That was the last thing I was trying to find out what was wrong because I just wanted more information on it. So I'd hit the placements with the locations of where she needs the placements first, and then kind of her issues. Then I went to the virus or the pathogen scan, and then also after that I was looking at the symptoms in that sheet. So whenever I hit a virus or a pathogen, I'd scan the symptoms that were related to it, and I'd get some yeses and nos. So I could actually see that she had a kit pass about a year ago, and that had something to do with the cytomegalovirus. And so that was another thing I checked. I checked the symptoms too related to it.
Yeah, and also animals have emotions too. So you can ask, is there emotional issues associated with the pet? You know, and that's a whole nother way to scan. When I did my issues with my dog Oscar, Dr. Garcia texted me and says, I scanned your dog for emotions and he misses you. Spend more time with your dog. Good luck. So I immediately started hanging out with my dog more because he was missing me, you know? So again, there's many, many different ways. And again, one thing I listed like 5 or 6 ways to do this. So one way also is, another way is if you find a virus, if you find a bacteria, look for the parasite. If you find a virus, look for the fungus. Ask if there's an associated pair that is related to this placement. If you really want to dial in and get it down to the core of the issue, you're going to ask, is there an associated placement every time you do a placement? Look and see if it's a virus, a bacteria, a pathogen, or a fungus, and ask if there's an associated issue or placement that's needed.
And you say that again, Jamie, what the 2 pairings are?
Bacteria and parasite, and virus and fungus. And so you'll ask if there's an associated pair that needs to go with this parasite, virus, fungus. It can be another parasite too. But just ask when you do a placement, is there an associated pair that needs a placement as well? That's another thing Dr. Garcia does. After he does each placement, he'll ask if there's an associated pair. Like you may do, like you have shoulder issues, and one of the good placements for shoulder issues is called the general stars, supraspinatus on the shoulders. Well, I asked if there's an associated pair, and it came back yes. And I already knew what it was. It's the tricep placement underneath your arm. If anybody's got shoulder issues or neck issues, do the general stars and do under the triceps, and you'll be amazed how fast this stuff helps people. You know, this one friend of mine, he couldn't lift his arm, or Norbert, he was on the show here a while ago. He's from Czech Republic, and I was doing a Zoom with him, and he said he had a shoulders issues he's had for years. I said, well, let me just do a scan. And so I did the triceps and I did the general stars, and he's in Czech Republic, and I put him on my shoulders and under my arms, my intention towards helping him. And we're talking like 15, 20 minutes later, and he's going like this. And I'm like, oh, is your shoulder bugging you? Is it, you know, I did a placement. Are you okay? And he goes, Jamie, I haven't been able to lift my arm in years. And he's just doing this, and he's just like, and he's smiling. He's got this big smile on his face. And I've talked to him since then, and the shoulder hasn't bothered him since. So those are the low-hanging fruit ones we can definitely help people with. And then once you help them with their physical issues, like Donna was saying, the friend that had the inflammation and the pain, those are the ones that give the confidence to the people that this can help. Now we want to get into the drilling down. Now we want to really learn how we can take this to the total healing protocol that this is designed to do. All right, I'm done. Anybody want to talk?
Yeah, I wanted to add something, 2 things, well, several things, but I'll just be quick as possible. Jamie, firstly, thank you so much for sharing all of this information. This is where I have totally been stuck in like having a rhythm to follow for energy testing, because I just get caught up. So this tremendously helps me. But I also wanted to share that if I found that if I'm unsure of an area of, you know, if it's, you know, red on the knee, I will tell the person that I'm working with, and kids are especially great at this, but saying, tell me when it feels right. And I put the magnet there and they say there. And I even do that for the kidney, which I do all the time, because everybody's body is different. And people who are in tuned and are open, it really helps to get that placement correct. And I also wanted to share something really cool. I got sick in March, and no, it was in February, and I just kept getting these really bad headaches in the back of my neck. And it was very hard for me to energy test myself to figure out what placements. And I kept doing the same ones and it wasn't working completely. They would come back. And finally, I asked my 8-year-old to energy test me. And she came up with some of the same ones and some more. And I stopped having those migraines after that point. And it was crazy and amazing. But my point is kids are still open to this. And I love sharing it with my kids. And, you know, when they were at school, they were teaching their friends how to energy test. And it was just amazing. But I want to thank you, and all of my friends thank you for truly, for this has changed my life and everybody in my life, their lives as well. So thank you so much, Jamie.
Oh, thank you. That makes me feel good. Yeah, I don't see Nancy in the room, but Nancy could share a similar story with her son when she came back from the level 1 to Minnesota, and her son was having some issues, and they're scanning the Bible book together, and the son goes, "Mom, flip that page." "No, not that next page." "Mom, that's the placement." And the placement immediately, I think it was a migraine. When she comes back in the room, we'll ask her. But I think it was a migraine, and the migraine was lifted right away. So children are pure. They're still of the spiritual essence. They haven't been tainted by the toxic environment. So there's a whole nother realm of getting children to heal. My son's in 8th grade, and his friends were all asking me about magnets. And my son is like, "Oh, Dad, don't embarrass me." And I said, I got to ask him. I said, "Hey, you guys, I'm going to teach you how to thumb test." So I taught him how to thumb test. So I said, "I want you to go to school." This is when school is still in session. And I said, "If you get a multiple choice exam, I want you to use your thumbs and ask, is it A, B, C, D, or D, the answers?" And one of the kids did it. I said, "Before you even look at the questions, ask and write down what the answer is." And he said, "I got all the questions right, Jamie." I mean, think about that. I mean, that you could look at a piece of paper on an essay question and you can ask what is the right answer, A, B, C, or D, and it gives you the answer. I mean, these kids are going to get 800s on their SAT scores if we ever have college again, you know? It's a whole nother world to start working with our children and ask your children, where does this placement feel? You know, ask their feelings. Does this placement feel good, or do you want this placement over here? What do you think? And I'm sure we're going to find that children are going to be able to fly with this stuff. Can you imagine if we get them intuitively learning how to put placements on without having to go through the protocol sheet, without having to go through all of this stuff, and our children can pick this stuff up? What's the future of healing if we can teach our children this and they can intuitively pick it up? And then I had a vision about everybody carrying around a magnet. Everybody carries around a magnet. It's like we're going to have to carry around our phones for all this, you know, COVID crap. So everybody's going to carry around a magnet, and everybody's going to have issues, like they know how to heal 5 issues. So then you're going to meet somebody and you're going to say, "Hey, what's your issues? What can you heal?" "Oh, I can heal sciatica. I can heal the throat. I can heal emotional trauma. I can heal this and that. How about you?" "Oh, I can heal this, and oh, I need issues with this. Can you do a placement?" "Yeah, give me your magnet." And so you'd share your magnet, and you do a placement with somebody else, and you'd be learning and sharing and learning and sharing. Teaching to fish, learning to fish. You know, so that was a dream I had, and before this world went crazy, that all of us were carrying around a magnet like we carry around a credit card. And all we did was share. Somebody in the restaurant is having a Herxmeyer, they're throwing up, and they're got a chicken, you know, how can you help somebody there? Anybody got a magnet? Okay, bring the magnet over here. Oh yeah, I know how to do that. Boom, boom, boom. I mean, the possibilities, you guys, are just endless with this stuff. And we're just at the very, 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 very tip of learning this. So doing like Tammy's doing, working with her families, Donna, you know, working with others, the water magnet sleeve also, folks, you can make your own, but I highly, highly encourage you. These people that have used the magnets on their water faucets have noticed really significant improvement in their hair, in their laundry. The dogs won't drink out of the other water. They'll only drink out of structured water. We sell these for $40 each. You can make your own if you want. It's 8 pairs of magnets. We sell magnets now. We're making magnets for healing. We're also selling raw magnets. So if you need magnets, get in contact with me as well, and the water sleeve. So we can do that.
Jamie?
Yeah.
So just to clarify, you'll pass on the question tree, the tooth chart, the emotional chart, and the virus sheet?
I'll try to, and also pass on what Tammy sent on that PDF.
Yeah.
As well. And then if you guys want to share stuff, please, I want to make, I'm going to get, I don't know if you're on Facebook or not, but I'm going to start a Facebook page so we can start doing more regular interactions during the week and sharing information more. But yeah, I'll put as much as you said, Grant. Send me an email.
Sure.
Hey, Nancy, can you hear me? Oh, she walked away again. But Nancy tells a really cute story about her son just picking out a placement. Are you there, Nancy? Can you talk or no? 1 minute. So Nancy's in Minneapolis. There she is. Hi.
Hi.
Can you tell that we were telling the story and someone was sharing the story about how their child suggested a placement and it helped them right away. And I was telling the story about your son, how you were going through the book. And
oh yeah, when he was having scalp issues, and just started sifting through all the different ones for the scalp, and he actually resonated with one of the pictures. So, and we used it, and it worked. So I thought that was pretty amazing.
And has he done any more work with the magnets, or just you help him with the magnets, or?
He hasn't himself. I actually have been using this mannequin head that I had to work with emotional issues with him, and that's worked as well this week. So yeah, it's been fun. But he doesn't do any placements himself. He's so busy. But if I just ask him, are you okay if I test you today? Oh yeah, absolutely. So he believes in it. He saw progress.
And Nancy and I, she was out here in October for the level 1 with Dr. Garcia. And I think it was the same night. You and I both had the Herxheimer issues.
Mm-hmm.
So sharing my most embarrassing moments in life, I'm hosting an event for 32 people that have come on my trust and said, okay, we're going to trust you and spend thousands of dollars to learn this. And it's the last night. It's night before the last night. It's Saturday night, and we're having dinner. And I'm at the table with Dr. Garcia and his wife, and I start to have a crisis. I start to eat a piece of meat. It gets caught in my throat. It can't come out. I'm literally in front of everybody, as Donna and everybody was in the room could tell. And I'm literally trying to throw up whatever's in there that won't come up. I'm choking, I'm having problems. And a voice in my head is saying, just let it go. You're supposed to go through this. Don't worry about your ego, just let it go. And so over the course of 45 minutes to an hour, Dr. Garcia went and put about 30 placements on me while I sat in the chair, went outside, tried to throw it up, couldn't throw it up, came back in. And eventually the next morning I walked into class and I was fine. But it also opened up my right chest again. It opened up my right side. And I'd had that happen the first time that magnets worked on me. I had the exact same thing happen. And this was caused, the last thing he found at the very end of the placement was Yersinia pestis. And Yersinia pestis is the black plague. This is stuff that comes from geoengineering that they spray us with. And so that had gotten back into me, and he cleared it out again. At the exact same time this is happening, Nancy, you tell your story of what happened to you.
Well, first of all, last summer I was in the hospital for intestinal blockage, and I've been in the hospital for that before, in the emergency room several times. And we just got done with dinner, and I started noticing that familiar pain. And I decided to go back to my room to lay down for a while, and my roommate came and checked on me, and I was doubled over in pain, and told her that I needed to find an emergency room and fast. And so she said, well, just give me a minute. I'm going to run down. And she went to the main room where everybody was. Dr. Garcia was there, and she told him Nancy needs to get to the emergency room. She's having pain, doubled over. And he said, well, just a minute. Let me check her. So he actually checked me through her and found that I needed 3 different placements. So she came back to the room, and we got out my magnets and put them on. And she was laying in her bed and I was laying in mine. We were just talking, and after 10 minutes, we were belly laughing. And she asked me what the pain level was at. When it had started at about an 8 or 9, within that 10 to 15 minute marker, it went down to about, I think I thought it was at 4. And so we just laid there for a few more minutes, and it couldn't have been more than 25 minutes, and the pain was completely gone. And I had been in the hospital the first time for 5 days. And last summer I was in there for 3 days, and all they did was put me on morphine, did lots of x-rays, just monitored me, didn't really do anything else. And last summer's bill was well over $20,000. And I think the magnets that I was able to use were probably not even $100. And I can just reuse them, and the pain was gone in 20 minutes, no morphine, nothing. It was just magnets. So.
And what, have you had any recurrences since?
None, absolutely none.
Have you done any placements since?
The last time I did placements was probably 2.5 months ago. And it wasn't because I was having pain like I usually felt when I ended up in the hospital. It was just that, oh, maybe it's a little bit uncomfortable. I'm just going to do this just to make myself feel better. But otherwise, I've had nothing similar to what I've had in the past.
Awesome.
Pain.
And so when you talk about pain, when you say level 10 is what, childbirth?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
I wouldn't know.
No, I would equate it to childbirth, actually. I was in so much pain.
Wow.
Unbearable pain. So.
Wow. That's awesome. So, and then you were saying within 15, 20 minutes, the both of you were just giggling and you forgot you were even in pain, right?
I know. Yeah, that's exactly it.
Yeah. Yeah. So again, we saw a bunch of miracles, and it's unfortunate that we have what's going on now, because Dr. Garcia was going to be coming back out to San Francisco again. He said if I can get 40 people signed up, he'll do a week-long webinar, a 5-day webinar with everybody, if people are interested. So if you're interested, let me know. But I'm not sure I can get 40 people in these economic times to pay enough money to sign up for this. So I'm going to still try and coach him into releasing this information, because he is under legal pressure from people, because he is changing the world, and he's also going up against Western medicine. So he's a little bit concerned about releasing this information out to the internet, because things he say isn't being couched, isn't being controlled. And if he says the wrong thing, the AMA and all the powers that be can come after him. So that's why, he doesn't really want people taping the classes and things like that. So we're getting close to time. Does anybody have any more comments, questions? Jessica, you want to say anything?
Hi. I'm just so happy you're doing this. I really am. I took your Tuesday webinar, and I took Dr. Garcia's class over in New Jersey, and it's been amazing. And I've noticed that one thing that I have found to really work is just the intention of, visualizing the magnets being placed, and actually having effects from that, rather than, like, let's say if you're in a situation where you don't have a magnet, or like, you're obviously at a distance from somebody, but I've noticed a huge success in that. So
explain that. Can you explain that a little more? I didn't quite understand.
Oh, just like, I guess it's just similar to what you do with the mannequins, but I just sort of visualize the magnets placed in a certain, whatever I test it to be, like whether it be on myself and I don't have magnets at the time, or on somebody else at a distance. And I even tried on my cat, because my cat had an infection, and I tested her, and she had a terrible, terrible fever. Anyways, it placed the magnets, fever went totally down. In fact, it just went away. So I have found that to be really interesting. So
well, that's why I opened up with saying that's where we're heading.
Yeah.
Dr. Garcia was talking about, like, when I had some issues with my feet and I got gout, and I just literally was in, Nancy was out here and I was in so much pain, and I kept saying, can you help me? And so I started to feel better, and I said, he sent me the placements, but I hadn't seen it yet. And he hadn't even done the placements yet.
Mm-hmm.
He says, sometimes your intention is all you need.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I have noticed that it works just as well as placing the magnets. So, that's just something for people to experiment with, out there. I just found it to be really, really interesting. Oh, and also I had a question. So I've been experimenting with different sort of protocols and different ways I'm, going through sort of like the list of what to test first and when, and I've been doing mainly like most common pathogens, and then going through the whole, like, is it in the head, neck, thorax, anterior thorax, legs. But you, in the first part of this, you had mentioned that do you just go off, just right off the bat and just test a specific area, or how is it that you begin your testing for somebody in terms of like where, or do you test like, is it the most common pathogen, or is it a personal pair, and then you go in and test, whether it's in the head, like the black magnet is either in the head or the neck or the, abdomen and whatnot.
Yes.
All of the above.
Yeah. So sometimes like like when if I do a full scan, like I offer these 3 sessions for scanning, because one session's never enough. I mean, if you're doing one session, just plan on doing more. If you really want to help these people, there's something underlying. All right.
Yeah.
So Dr. Garcia, he'll start with issues. He'll say, what are your issues you're having? And then he'll start asking for issues. And then he'll note that. And then he'll start doing the scan protocol, and he'll start with the most common pathogens, because that's the things we find the most. So I'll do the most common pathogen sheet. Is there something that Jessica has column A, column B? Yes. Is this column B have to do with malaria? Will have to do with vaccines? And almost always the vaccines. And if you do the vaccine, if you go on most common and you get vaccines, I can almost guarantee you number 7 and number 10 are going to come up. Number 7 and number 10 are measles and smallpox, I think. Yellow fever. And I find that all the time, just like the Wuhan virus placements. If you don't have those placements, I'll send them to you. Manubrium kidney. That placement comes up all the time. So you're seeing them over and over. So I want to share add to the most common. But if you're going to do a full scan, then I would go through, like you talked about, Jessica, do with the most common pathogens, go to the protocol sheet, go to the emotions, then go to the specifics, of what you want to focus on, issues and symptoms. That's generally the way I go about doing it. I've got this this book here, and I know Grant, my buddy's been laminating his, but this book is, I call the scriptures, and I'll put them together for you if you guys want. But it's got the protocols, it's got the placements for Wuhan, it's got the placements for the flu. So what I'll do is I'll start, I don't know if you can see that or not, but I'll start with the protocol sheets. And then from there, I'll just flip through the book. And then I'll say, does Jessica have any issues with this page? With this page? I won't even care what's on the page. Okay, and then if I find something, I'll write it down. And then after I finish that, I get to sleep issues, sinus issues, Lyme disease, mosquitoes, teeth. And then from there, I'll go to the next section, which is issues and symptoms. And then after that, I get to the most common pathogens. So I just literally, I'll just flip these pages and just ask, are there issues on this, issue on this, issue on this that I need to deal with this person? And by the end of it, I've usually got between 20 and 40 placements by the end of just going through this book. So this is what I do. I mean, I just go through the scriptures book, which has the protocols, the issues, symptoms, the emotions, and then the viruses now, which is another whole level of drilling down, drilling down, drilling down. it depends on what your intention is for that session. Do you want to do a full scan? Do you want to deal with the issues they stated? Do you want to do just a general overall? Give them a tune-up, like give them the Raka Chakra? What is your intention and then how much time do you have to put into it, kind of thing?
Yeah.
And with you, I'm finding that there's these people that are empaths and intuits that using dowsing. A lot of people that are really good at this stuff have been dowsers now for a while, using the pendulum. You guys should start working without the magnets and just use your intuition. Start working with your intuition and just put yourself and say, what does this person need? Body talk to me. What do I need to do this person? And I'm sure some of you will start getting some answers. Like you're just doing, Jessica. You're already finding out through my intention, I don't need magnets. I can affect change. And this is what I'm talking about, this hands-on healing. This is going all the way back to the ancient times when it was called hands-on or hands-off healing. And Mark and whoever else attended the hands-on with Dr. Garcia, and I'm trying to get Dr. Bruce on the show next week, he does it without touching anybody. He goes, well, I touch people just so they think I'm doing something, but I don't need to touch anybody. I can do this without touching. And so if he comes on the show, I'll try and get him on next week. We can really get into this because he's been doing it for what, 40 years, Mark? Yeah. 40 years. And then he's also got this stuff, TheraCream, which it's not cheap. It's a $95 for a bottle of this stuff. But as soon as I had some pain and stuff, I had some inflammation on my foot, I put it on my foot, right away gone. And he deals with mold issues, and he does a check to see if you've got mold issues. And if he does, then he does a hands off, and he starts healing you with hands off. He's learned to use his body as an instrument. And that's why I'm really, really excited that all of us can take it to that level where we're literally using our bodies as instruments to heal. And then we're really teaching our children. We teach, and if we can start working with our children now and start asking them, where do you think this placements go on mommy or daddy, or, start asking these kids who are just, they're here to learn. I'd love to take that to a whole nother level. So anyone else?
Is there anybody that lives in Los Angeles? Or am I the only person? Get together with other people that are doing this, and
no, that's really good to do because and we can do maybe we can do a group webinar where we just work on confirmations. So let's say you focus on someone that you want to work with, and so who's ever on will focus on let's say the person's name is Paul. So Jessica wants to work on Paul. Jessica found these placements. Do we confirm these placements, yes or no? That's what Mark and I do all the time. Mark, do you get the same placements I got? He goes, yeah, I got 8 out of 10 of what you got, Jamie. Well, when we get confirmation that others are finding the exact same placements of hundreds of placements, and they get 8 out of 10, does that give confidence that you're on the right track even more? Does that tell you that you're really dialing it in by getting the same? Grant and I were doing the same thing. Grant says, oh, I got that too. I got that too. It's amazing when you work with others, the confirmation bias that comes out on this stuff. It's really powerful. But I think there's some people in LA. I'll try and hook you up with Jessica, and maybe you can meet with them. And
Jamie, once you get the Facebook page up, people should be able to find people a lot easier in their area.
Oh, good. Okay. Good idea. I'll set that up as well. So yeah, Jessica, I'll see if I can find somebody in your area as well.
Yeah, that'd be awesome because I'm not on any social media. So
good for you. That's where we all need to go. All right. So anybody else? Any other questions, comments?
Yeah, if you don't mind.
Not at all.
One quick question. If you were going to have magnets and I can send people your way, will they be able to contact you through the website that you just put up last week?
I don't have the store set up there yet.
Okay.
Nancy's cousin hasn't called me back.
Okay.
Look at her. No, I'm kidding. I just email me. We're just making them here, and we found the glue that works. I'm very happy with the product. We're able to make them at a lower cost. They're not guaranteed for 5 years like Dr. Garcia, but they're half the price, and I really like the quality of them. So yeah, if anybody wants magnets, hit me up, water sleeves. And again, If money's tight, I'll work with you guys because I know everybody's just trying to get by these days. So if you have magnets, but I'm really excited what Jessica just said is she's experimenting with just setting her intention. So maybe we should try that too, folks. Instead of just saying I have to have magnets, let's say you don't have magnets. Here's another thing I'll do for all of you because you guys are awesome. If you don't have magnets or mannequin or something and you want placements for somebody or something, email me or call me and we'll put the magnets on mannequin with the intention towards that person you want to help. Okay? So even if you don't have the magnets or don't have the facility to do the placements, hit us up. We'll put the placements on for you so you can help others. Okay? And let's see if that works. And also I want to really get into group intention. Hank did a world map and he put some magnets for placements on the world map. Can we heal the world? Can we put placements for emotional issues on the world? I mean, everybody's traumatized. Everybody's feeling anxiety. Can we help alleviate that? Can we do it? Again, the potential is unlimited with what we can do. We don't know how much we can do right now. So it's up to each one of us to experiment, share, correlate, move forward, share, correlate, and we're going to keep moving up the pyramid here, folks. And at some point within a very near future, we're going to have some significant changes. And whether we can do it in our communities, in our city states, in our worldview, what our potentiality is for healing, it's unlimited right now. So, keep doing it. Anybody else? We all done here?
Your enthusiasm is infectious. Thank you.
And I'm inspired by all of you too, by showing up here and participating in this all and doing your own work and finding your own results and then sharing with everybody. Because again, when you find your own results and then you share it with others, others are getting aha moments because you shared with them. So keep sharing, keep learning. And I would encourage you all to do it with strangers. Do it with people, maybe next week we'll get into buzzkill next week too, right, Nancy and Donna? There's placements you can do for drinking where you put a liver, a kidney. You can sober up people in 15 minutes. It's absolutely off the hook amazing of how you can. And Nancy says, "Yep, I've done it." Donna,
not on me.
No, if you look on the Excel spreadsheet, I call it buzzkill. And Dr. Garcia was telling about this in his class. And so he did a liver kidney placement and he says these people cleared up right away. And so in his class there, he had level, hi baby, what a cute baby. And he had he had someone in his hands on, I think it was, or level 1, and they had a drinking problem. And someone came in and says, Dr. Garcia, so-and-so's passed out in the bathroom. So they went and brought him out of the bathroom, put him on the massage table. He did 2 sets of placements, and he said 20 minutes later, the guy was in his seat like nothing had happened.
Rolled over that.
So, here another potential for drunk driving. What if we could get mothers against drunk driving and we get them on the magnets and we can get them doing placements? But then again, ethically, are we encouraging people to drink more because you can clear it out right away? No hangover. It clears up hangovers too. So that's a whole nother experimenting that we.
Yeah. That's why charcoal is banned in Canada.
Why?
Oh, because drug addicts use it to sober up. They use activated charcoal, so it's banned in Canada.
Oh,
that works.
Well,
it works.
When you do the buzzkill, doesn't that still mean that toxin is still inside of that person then?
Well, think about it. So how long's the toxin been in the body?
No idea.
So it affects your blood. Like when they do it, like I brought a breathalyzer before all this started because I was going to go to the bars and test it.
It's about the half-life, right?
Right. So let's say you've got here. Let me bring this up. So here's the placements for you guys experiment and let's share next week if you're out of anybody. So here's one for down here. I've got a bunch more under detox, but buzzkill alcohol detox number 170, and you'll find it's kidney and liver. So if you got blood alcohol and you lift the alcohol out and you break it out, all that's left is the blood. And again, if it breaks it up before it's had a chance to really get through your system, all you're going to do is pee it out. And Dr. Garcia said the ones that had done these, the people he'd done it with, they showed no symptoms or signs of being drunk. And we haven't tested to find out if the blood alcohol level, if they were going to blow a 0.0 something after the treatment or not. That's in a whole nother realm we can experiment with. But detox with my buddy Grant and I used to party pretty good. And last session we were talking about, you know, for cocaine and stuff, you know, deviated septums. Maybe next week we'll start talking about scars. One of the things Dr. Garcia went in his hands-on, he went all over scars. Your scar tissue carries mass amount of toxicity.
Very true.
It's all wrapped up in the scars. So please scan any scars you have on your family or yourself and ask, are there magnetic placements? And if you go under the symptom sheet and you type in scars, if you type in scars, it's not coming up on me right away. You're going to find like, oh, here, surgery scars, 66, scarring for breast surgery, tonsillectomy. Can you see that? Is that on your screen? So these ones right here, scan yourself, scan your family and say, are there any scar tissues that are causing toxicity that the magnets can help placements with me today? And I'm pretty sure that you're going to find at least one of these. And then you want to do the associated pairs because there's associated issues attached to the scarring, whether it be you have a C-section or with me, when they did the scanning on me, it was my belly button. So I had my belly button cut at birth, but there were still some issues. There was a virus that was attached to my belly button from birth that had lodged in my umbilical. All right. So this is a whole nother realm of issues just right there. It was just scanning for scars. If anybody goes into the hospitals, here's some placements for PTSD, hospitals, MRSA in the hospitals. Hospitals are the third leading cause of death, misdiagnosis, and hospital infections. So here you can scan right here for hospitals as well. So again, Jessica, you can go many, many, many different ways on how you get at through the fishbowl to get at the issues. But what we really want to do at the end of the day, at the end of all this, is get a total healing protocol. And so that's what I was trying to bring tonight is like, as my understanding of it now is when you want to do a total healing, you're drilling down, and you just keep drilling. Just keep drilling. One love, everybody.
One love, brother.
One love.
One love.
One love.
One love. Love it.
Right.
Love. All right. Thanks, you guys, and I'll send you the notes and hit me up if you need any magnets or anything. And then if you have any questions, I'm here. So just please use me, and I'd love to help anybody that wants any help.
Thanks, Jamie.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Have a good night.
Yes.
Good night.
Night, James.
Night.
Sure.
Bye-bye.